the Sphinx cat are here. He's real noisy today. My apologies for that. You're gonna hear him meowing. I swear he's totally cool. He's just very jealous when I'm not playing with him. So he's a kitten. He's a Sphinx. So they're just needy. And they're pretty cool animals, but sometimes I wish I could turn them down a little bit. And I feel too bad. I feel bad for him, so I don't want to lock him out because then he's just gonna sit outside the door and scream about it. So, like I said, a little bit of comic relief. He'll have some commentary for us, I'm sure. So okay, so what I'm doing. Oh, first of all, this is Red Ben. You can find me on Twitter at Red Ben Trader. If you want to learn more about trading with execution tool like the Algo, give an email to my coach Simon. It's trade, the letter N, word perform at gmail.com. I'm not sure if we're accepting new members, but if we are, he'll give you a 5 free day pass if you mention that I recommended you to the room. We're really only looking for like a couple more serious traders who are looking to trade futures consistently. It's really only if you're trying to actually like become a consistent trader. We're not like just looking for like anybody to build some huge room. It's actually quite small, but I've learned a lot from there. So I feel like and if it wasn't for Simon, I wouldn't have access to this algo. So I got to give props where props are due. Now the stuff we're going to talk about today is actually they're primarily my own what's it called, studies. So some of them you'll see on here are directly from the trade and perform algo, which looks like this now. But for instance, so some of them are different. For instance, where did it go? I want to show you the simpler one because it's a little bit easier to look at. So the little dots, the yellow and the blue dots on mine are different than Simon. So if you're in the room with me and you see these yellow dots, I know they look just like the new dots that Simon just added, and it's actually not my signal. It's something totally different, completely unrelated. Okay, so this is not the same as the trade and perform version. All right, totally different. Just so you know. If you're in the trade and perform room and you're watching this, and there's anything on my chart that you don't have, that you want access to, and you have the trade and perform algo already on, if you have this already on your desktop, and you want to add some of these signals to it, just let me know in Slack, in our Slack channel in the room. I'm happy to help you like adjust your I can help you figure that out. But if you're not in the trade and perform room, you won't have access to the algo. And if you don't have access to the algo on your desktop, my settings aren't going to work because it's based off of Simon's DLL file. And if you don't have that, it won't work. So, but if you're in the trade and perform room, just DM me in Slack and tell me which ones you want me to help you build, and I'll do my best to explain to you how to do it. So, the X's and the dots and the little boxes right there. Little boxes are not on Simon's. Okay, totally my own creation, own idea. But I'm kind of using some of the same logic as Simon has taught me to use to determine when to get into trades with his signals. And I'm just applying some of that same logic to ideas that I'm taking. And really, you guys, all this is, I realize it looks kind of complicated. All this is, I'm looking at, where is it? I'm looking at this, okay? I'm looking at the footprint, and I've been trading for a long time, and I know how to read the footprint just as it is. It's just that it's difficult to execute effectively when you're just trying to trade from this. For me, live, it's a lot of information to have to think about, right? And it's not that complicated. It does take time, but it's not that complicated just to tell Sierra charts to look for certain conditions and alert me with visual signals. So that is all these are. is just conditional signals saying this condition is present right now in the market that you're looking at, right? So it does take a lot of work to figure out how to build that and which conditions to use, but just realize that this isn't anything like magical. It really is just order flow concepts built into like a more automated execution system. Now, I am personally pushing the button myself. I do not have it set up to automatically trigger for me, but that is something it can do. I don't have that functionality right now, but and I don't really want it yet. And one reason is that I haven't built enough confidence in some of these new setups to know whether or not they are a high enough win rate to do something like an automated trading bot. What I would need to see personally to be confident enough to just turn on a system that automatically triggered whenever a condition was true, I'd need to see it perform at least a 65% win rate so that I can target a 1-to-1 risk reward ratio and be confident that I can make money without like blowing up, basically. and not have to trade tiny size. So the first thing to understand is to do that with futures, I need something that works on a very small time frame. So for instance, I'm looking at the 24 tick here, and we're also going to look at smaller and bigger time charts later, Renko charts later, because if these signals and conditions, these setups, if they're valid here on the 24 tick and conceptually I'm seeing what I think I'm seeing, they should be working on most time frames. The difference is the more you zoom in, right? So going from an 80 tick, for instance, to a 20 tick, or 30 tick to a 15 tick, something like that. When you get smaller bars, your noise, like signal to noise ratio, you're gonna get more noise. You're gonna have more stops. But the good news is those stops are gonna be smaller. So if in my opinion, like I said, I'm not recommending anybody do anything, but and I assume you can't because you don't have access to this anyway. So, but you can still take a lot of. I'm hoping that you can take some like concepts out of this video and learn from it. But really, I'm honestly doing this so that I have some something to review myself, so that I know what I'm doing, and I can benefit from the work that I've been doing on this away from market time. And what I'd like to do is to find out if some of these ideas, like I said, have a good enough win rate to the point where I could, like I said, have a small enough bar here, like a 24 tick or a 15 tick, so that I could take I could limit my losses to something like 20 ticks or so on NQ, or maybe, 20 points. 20 ticks would be pretty impressive. 20 points of risk on NQ, or maybe 5 points or less on ES. If I can find something that consistently works with that level of risk, it's worth working towards building a more automated trading system, in my opinion. If it only works when I have a 50-point stop, let's say on NQ, or a 10-point stop on ES, if that's the level of risk that it needs to take to be able to perform well, in my opinion, it's not worth using with futures. It doesn't mean it's a useless signal. It's just not good enough for futures. Because I don't want to risk $1,000 every single time I take a trade with 1 or 2 contracts. And while you could trade the micros and make it work, in my opinion, I want to do this work with the intention of scaling eventually. And if I can only scale to 16 micros, and then all of a sudden I'm risking way more than I'm willing to risk, and then also have to start paying fees extensively because I've got so many contracts on, it's just not worth it, right? So we're gonna go through. I've got three ideas already that I want to review. I'm gonna do them one at a time. 2 of them are already sophisticated enough that I know what the entry signals are. One of them is more of a conditional alert. Still, it's not sophisticated enough. I don't have it figured out yet what the best signal is to actually enter the trade in, and like, but I do believe I know where to place the stop, and I do believe I know which direction to take and when that determination can be made. The hard part is to figure out when do I actually execute the trade, right? And that's an important thing to know. And so that I'm hoping that maybe through digging in here and adding a couple other signals on the chart, I might be able to find some commonalities. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to introduce each setup one at a time, and then we're just going to kind of look through and see if we can find instances where they work, and hopefully find some times when they don't work. Because seeing it work is great for building confidence, but it doesn't necessarily teach you anything. Because what you need to see is, I need to see that sometimes it doesn't work, and then I want to see if there's a commonality for what happens right before that when it doesn't work. Now, sometimes these signals just are going to stop even though they look like they're going to work, right? Like everything could be perfect and the market just doesn't do what you expect. You might run into some support or resistance that you didn't have, that the algo isn't considering, something like on a higher time frame, for instance, which this algo is just not sophisticated enough to look at, like the profile and things like that. It's assuming that I'm doing that. So, but we're gonna do this blind. Like I've got all the levels. See, like for instance, right here, I've got a ton of levels from the profile, but I can't just buy and sell those levels in futures with a 20-point stop and expect to do well. I mean, you can see how like it does act as support, it acts as resistance, right? But if I just said like, oh look, you could have just bought this and sold this and made money, that's not really genuine, because the truth is there's a lot of, like, where do you put your stop then? You know, like is this one a stop when if you bought this, right? So you need more than just a level, and therefore I think it makes sense to hide the levels and see if I can find at least a decent win rate without knowing that, and then that way adding the levels will more just further filter which entries I take. For instance, I would know if it's set up long right here, I probably wouldn't take the trade because I know I have this level here that was acting as support that we've now given up, and I expect it to act as resistance this time, right? If I've clearly left the area and then returned to it, I don't really want to be longing here, but the algo might signal there, right? So that would count as a stop if I wasn't looking at the levels. And like I said, I want some signals that work well enough that even if I'm not looking at levels, it's still got a pretty good win rate. Well over 50% is what I'd really like to find. And then, like I said, that way most of the errors that it's running into, the times when it stops, aren't just random. It's actually things that I could usually filter out. And then some of them are going to be completely random. They're going to be due to, you know, a piece of news coming out. They're going to be due to just basic randomness in the market, right? Literally nothing works 100% of the time. But if you can find something that works most of the time, even if you're not looking at levels, and then you add trade location, it's probably only going to get better, is my assumption. Now, because of the way that we've been trading lately on NQ and ES, this is actually a really good time to do some of this work on market days like this. Let me show you real quick, in case you're watching this much longer, like far away from now, in the future. So for right now on the 4-hour chart, you can see NQ for days has just been chopping in this consolidation zone, and it's the same consolidation zone that we were in early February. We just returned to it and started chopping again. So there aren't a whole lot of opportunities for swing trades at all. The only real obvious location trading you could do is sell above it and buy below it and then trade back to the midpoint, right? That's a pretty obvious way to do the trade. But again, to do it with a 20-point stop is, you need a lot more than just the location. But if you can figure out something that works on a tiny little time frame, even when the market's chopping back and forth like this, if it works still when it's doing this, then when it starts actually trading, like chances are those signals are, if they work, like I said, let's say 60% of the time here, they're going to work a ton when it's doing this, as long as you know the right direction to take, which you would, you just go with the trend. Whereas here, those trends, if you will, are actually on very, very small time frames. See, if you look at this on like, here, let me do like I'll show you what I'm talking about. A 3-minute chart, right? You're going to see what looks like impulse moves, retracements, impulse moves, right? Like from like a, what's it called? Like a Wyckoff point of view, like you've got some consolidation inside of a trend, right? With like impulse moves, continuation, a spring, right? Like it's all there on the tiny time frame, but on the bigger time frame, it's just back and forth chop, right? If you look at the bigger time frame, you'll see those same patterns when the market's actually moving like this, right? Same exact thing as we saw on the current time frame. I mean, on the current time on the 3-minute time frame. See that? It's like it's the same behavior, right? So if you can find stuff that works here on the smallest time frame, even though the big time frame looks like this, then when the big time frame starts to do things that are a lot more tradable, all of a sudden those same concepts can be taken to multiple time frames then and applied to multiple time frames. And that's really what, in my opinion, that's your ideal trade setup, right? Is something that you could use pretty much in any time frame. You just need to know how to execute it. So, all right, so let's jump into it here. 20 minutes is plenty of time to introduce what we're doing. So the first setup, what we are looking for, I believe, again, these are very new, so bear with me if we find that it's not working how I expect, and then I'll adjust it, and then I'll have new information. So the very first setup, I've adjusted, I've changed the little squares. There's yellow on the bearish bars, and then the bullish bars are the blue ones like this. Okay, I used to have these firing a lot because I really didn't know how to use them yet. And I just kind of wanted to see where they were showing up. Well, I figured out, first of all, that the more times something fires, the more your brain will filter it out. It'll just stop looking at it, right? You'll just stop seeing it because it fires so often. So it's something I learned a long time ago is it's not helpful to have a ton of information on the chart if it's there pretty much all the time. Like, you can have a lot of different signals show up as long as they are relatively rare. So, for instance, another example of one of these new signals are like I said, the blue and the yellow. These are unsophisticated signals right now, right? I'm literally showing every single instance when just one condition is true. Eventually, I'm going to do the exact same thing as I've done for the squares and only show them where they actually produce trade information. But the only way to know when that is, really, is to see where they show up. The easiest way to know where that is, the fastest way, is to show them all and then forward test. In other words, like, do what I'm doing right now and say, like, okay, well, this one was, let's say, like, relevant, and this one was relevant, but these two really weren't, let's say, just as a random example. Well, then I would have to go into the footprint and check on the DOM and stuff like that, look at the order book, whatever it is that's making this condition fire, and say what's different about the ones that are producing good trade entries or good trade signals versus the one that aren't, right? And so like I said, these are raw signals, the dots, and that's why there's so damn many of them. I've got some ideas of where I might want to filter them, but I haven't done it yet, right? For now, I still have to use my brain to filter out the ones that are not useful, because they might be, a lot of times signals can be used in more than one way. So while I do have some trade ideas with those, it's not sophisticated enough. That's how the boxes were before, the little squares here. That's how they were before. And then I realized, you know what? I'm really only using this for one or two ideas. let's just reprogram the signal to only show up in those conditions, right? So the setup, there's technically two, but they're very related. The first one is if you know the direction. So for instance, here we are bearish. Let me show you where that starts, so it's real obvious. And this is working on most time frames, okay? But you can see that from way back here, see this line right here? It's basically a moving average. Think about it like a moving average. It works like a moving average. So I'm just going to see where that stops dropping. Okay, so it looks like right about here it probably stops dropping. Yeah. Yeah. See that? Well, maybe not. So it's been bearish since, oh, that makes sense, the overnight high. Yeah, there we go. So see how this starts to roll? Okay, so you don't really know that it's the overnight high when it happens, right? So we're gonna say that here we don't know we're bearish, but at some point here, we figure out that, hey, you know what? I think we're bearish, right? And I've got some ways to do that. I'm gonna go into one of them today, but later. But let's say that somewhere around here, okay, somewhere around here, a real obvious way is if you've got a star that you get under and you can't break back over it, it's bearish. But there's lots of ways to do it, lots of momentum ways, whatever. If you've got even with like a moving average cross, or in my case, if the VPOC, the yellow line of the bars, crosses underneath this gray line on a bar that's not purple and closes bearish, just like this, it's usually bearish. And you might not want to sell immediately, but it's usually bearish. So once you know the direction, and if that direction is pretty clear, these yellow boxes now going in the direction of the trend are generally going to be good places to actually enter trades, as long as they're going in the direction of the trend. And then there's momentum, right? So if we've gotten underneath this line with the VPOC line on a bar that's not purple like this, but closes bearish, and then you get this box, you can actually just sell or short right there. Whereas if you tried to do that when it showed up over here, it may not work very well. But no, you actually didn't get any of them here because I've filtered a ton of them, right? So you won't see them very often anymore, whereas before they were showing up all over the place. So that one, you would just short it, right? It gives you more confirmation. It also had a star on it and an X on it and a dot on it. So there's all sorts of reasons to think it's a good bearish entry. A lot of different ways to say that the traders during that bar, during that period, when they were trading in here, once that closed and all those signals were validated, if you weren't sure where to get in, there was all sorts of reasons to do it there, but the box all by itself is actually all you would have needed there. Okay, so that's one way you can use it. If you know the direction and it's going in the direction that you think the market's going in, you can probably just take the trade. The one time when that doesn't work is when you've gotten really extended from the radar midpoint, right? So we use the TMP radar, and I use a fib channel too on another one of my, there's all sorts of ways to do this, right? But you need a way to know that it's getting a little bit too extended to chase. And another way I have to know that that's occurring, in addition to getting far away from this midpoint, is the bars are going to start turning blue on the downside, and they're going to start turning, whoops, I didn't mean to make that so deep, sorry. And to the upside, they're going to start turning yellow. So once they turn blue, it doesn't mean it's going to reverse, but it probably means that it's going to at least rest, and you might not want to do anything aggressive down there when it's blue like this. And so in order to short again, what I really need to see is these to get re-auctioned. Now, sometimes that's going to result in missing a huge move down. If you take that advice, right? If I take that advice and I never short like this after the blue, sometimes it's just going to absolutely crumble, right? But most of the time, it's going to retrace, at least to here. And that's totally natural. So I would rather miss the next move, and then after that be like, oh well, I know when it really crumbles and it's really bearish if it can't even retrace these blue Renko bars. So now I'm looking for any aggressive entry. I don't need to be I don't need to try that every single time. I'll wait until it happens and then get really aggressive, right? But as long as that's not happening, as long as there's no blue bars up here, for instance, that we've now gotten below and continued to drop, right? So like if this would have then produced like up, up, down again, and we get another impulse move down. Well, now I'm just shorting everything, right? Because that like it should have done a natural rotation and it didn't. So like there's probably some news in the market or something. But normally what you're going to see is a retracement up to that level. So like for instance, we can mark it right here, and we can say we really don't want to short until we've re-auctioned this for any reason. So like this X, or if there's a star down here, or whatever, you just ignore it, right? And then on the opposite side is the yellow. So if it was super bullish and we start to see yellow, we'd want to say like, oh, you know what? It's probably too late to it's chasing now. If we try to get long here, you can see it back here too, and here, okay? And see how when you go yellow, and then you go not yellow, and then if you keep going, right? If this wouldn't have been yellow and it just kept going, after, especially if it did like one drop and then kept going, it's probably gonna keep going. But here, what we did was we came back, we retraced this, found buyers, and continued higher for another leg. That's natural, right? So naturally, I would expect this to come back here. They give us yellow, which is great for the bears, right? Because we expected to pull back to here. They're actually already overextended. It's not a reason to short all by itself, but it means I can start looking for shorts. So that star is probably a good short. But like I said, we're looking for the boxes right now. We're gonna do these one at a time, and we're gonna see when they show up again. And then there's another there's two other ways that it can signal me into a trade. So let's see when the next one comes up, and I'll tell you if it's an immediate trade or if it's not. So now look, we got a bullish. I didn't see this. We got a bullish one here. See the blue, right? But I've already identified that we're in a bearish trend, right? We're not trending up on like the big picture. If anything, it's neutral, but it's definitely not super bullish, right? Now, those in the trade and perform room will see that it is supernova, right? Where the condition is supernova. So just because it's supernova does not necessarily mean that every single box is going to produce an entry all on its own, but it can produce an entry if this low can hold. Now, what we would then need to see is a bar with the POC above the previous POC, where the previous POC was, or the previous bar was bearish. Okay, so whoops, and remember the POC is the little yellow lines. Now on Simon's chart, he's got little boxes that show this. My little boxes mean something totally different. And on my other charts, I have this as a green bar right here. See that? Green inside. Tells me that the POC rose compared to the previous bar, and the previous bar was bearish. So normally, if that same bar showed up after this blue, like if this blue box was over here, and then I got this green bar, that's usually a good sign to actually get long. But when they're on the same bar, it's not necessarily time yet. You actually need to hold this on a pullback. I cannot get that POC below the low on a bar that's not purple. Okay, so we're going to see if that happens. My guess is it does not. And when it doesn't work, in other words, when the POC, the yellow line, drops below this low and it gets beat on a bar that's not purple, it's probably going to create, that's the third way this can set up, and that's going to create a squeeze to the downside, or a rug pull, typically. No, not every time, but a lot. So there. So see how we printed the blue one? I said if this low holds, it's going to be bullish. We just need a reason to get in, which would be a green bar, or a POC over POC, or a blue dot on a bullish bar. But the low needs to hold. It can't be beat. Well, it just got beat. We got below it, and the VPOC got below it, the yellow line got below it, and the bar closed bearish, and it's not purple. Okay, so that is bearish. So if it wasn't clear that it was bearish before, it's confirmed now to be bearish. It's not necessarily a trade entry yet, but it's clearly bearish. And now if we pull back and get a yellow dot or POC under POC, it's good to go bear. It's good to go short. In addition, if we just start dive bombing and get a yellow dot, as long as you're not trading into support, it's probably okay too. And a star would also work in those conditions. So let's see if we actually get the entry. I don't know if we will. It might just drop, in which case, yeah, you would have had to take the entry right here. Now, you did get dot triangle, and you've had two purple bars that started with an apex at the top, right? So it actually is pretty bearish already. There's another way to get short if this one doesn't trigger. Let's just put it that way, right? There would have been an earlier way to already know you're bearish and to already be short. But the main idea is that when these boxes, when you trade under them, especially when they come after a period of consolidation, and you get VPOC underneath the low of it, or if it was a yellow box and you get VPOC immediately above the high of it on a bar that's not pink, in that case, a bullish bar that's not pink, you can just get an immediate capitulation, right? And then it's just a matter of, can I get into the trade? Now here I would have loved to see a yellow dot right here, but we didn't get one. But that's really where you want to be getting short, is on the pullback. And usually this will get a yellow dot, but it didn't this time. I don't know if that means it's not going to work or what. Let's find out. It might mean don't get short because we didn't get it. And normally that's where it was. So here, there's our yellow dot on the pullback. That's usually good to go, but let's see if it works. It might not be. The stop, by the way, has to be above this apex. I didn't mention that. That's why you want the pullback, is because you don't want to be yeah. See, this would have gotten you short all the way. That's a huge stop, right? Probably not good enough. You would have needed a better pullback to really reasonably put your stop up here. Like, I could do it at this line on the pullback here, but I don't really want to get short here. So you don't actually know that this yellow dot is good, right, until this bar closes, and it actually can move to here during this next bar. It's just the way the dots are on my system. They're just, like I said, they're raw right now, right? And I've got it set up so that if they usually don't disappear, but on the very next bar, they can technically disappear if volume does certain things. It's rare, but they can happen. So rather than selling this, the better move is to actually sell this bar here, because that's when the dot is definitely not going away once this one closes. Plus you get a better entry here, but then you'd have to put your stop up here, so you'd have to be comfortable with that. Like I said, it's about like a 22-point stop. It's not great, but it's pretty good, and it usually works. I don't know if it will this time. And it does. Yeah. Now, this move down is usually pretty intense. Not every time, but usually. I have no idea what's coming. I did not review this first. I actually don't even know what day we're at. It's covered up on purpose. I have no clue. I just rewound to some random day, right? So I really do not know what's happening. Usually, like I said, if you get underneath the new blue boxes that I made, which, like I said, are different. They're more sophisticated than the old ones. I filtered out a bunch of them. If you get underneath it on a bar that's not purple, especially if it came after a period of consolidation, and especially if you knew the direction was already lower, and maybe you just had a retrace like this, right? Getting under here is like, okay, it's definitely bearish. Now it's just a matter of find a spot to get short, because as long as I can put my stop up here, it's a sell. So you can short any of this, right? I just need to see some aggression first. I do want to get something other than just bull. Otherwise I would love to get the dot here or a star here, right? Or an orange bar there would be really good, but I just need something, some sign that sellers are trying to fight back, and then it's usually going to drop pretty hard into the next support. Right? What I don't know is whether or not this support's going to break, and it might not. And it doesn't. So you would have gotten risk off if you got short on the pullback, right? You'd get your 1-to-1 if you put your stop up here. So you'd get risk off, but it doesn't collapse like it usually does. So that's kind of surprising. Like I said, I've got all the levels turned off. It's totally possible, that we're trading right into an anomaly. So that's probably why I didn't do it. But it did work. It just didn't extend as far as I wanted it to. So let's see what the next. Oh, the next one's right here. I didn't see it. Next one's right here. See that? So now we ask, first of all, when we got there. I didn't mean. I totally didn't even notice it. So here's our box, right? Is it clearly bullish? Well, are we in supernova? We still are, right? We're trading above this. Doesn't mean it's definitely a buy, but but it's probably not super bearish if we're still holding above an apex, right? A down apex. If we've gotten above a down apex and we're holding on pullbacks like this, it's not ultra bearish. The problem is this has clearly been, there's been some distribution here, right? So you might not want to just like mash the button. Just like even though it is probably going higher, I usually want something more. So my like I said, my choices here are you can have this low and you can say as long as that low holds, and I get some kind of sign of aggression after that, I can go ahead and get long. I know if this low goes, if they beat it, it's probably going to drop heavily, and so then the question is where do I put my stop? Well, it's going to be under whatever Apex is put in on the test of this low. So it might be under this low, but if like the next, let's say like 3 bars are like bear, bull, then it's under that bull bar. So let me see how I don't remember. Does it just go? It might just go. Yeah, that sucks. It just goes. So you would have had to be willing to take it on the triangle. And like it is a pink bar on a triangle and you were in supernova. So I mean it's not wrong. It's all, but this one is usually the better one right off the bottom like this. And if again, just like we saw before, but on the opposite direction, pink, and then not pink but bullish, right there, you for a whole different reason than I'm even talking about today. You should have already, and here too, you should kind of already know that like they're trying really hard to flip this. And it's very rare for this to stop twice. It can stop once, pink, bull, and then trade under this. But it's very rare for it to show up again and stop. So that would get, even without the box, the dot alone being, or any aggressive signal here, honestly, even a triangle, is probably like, get long before they run, right? But the box itself was positioned correctly. It did identify the shift. I just, like I said, I often see, unless you beat them, you usually get some kind of pullback into this level. Not every time. And so I wouldn't have really known for sure until here when that blue dot showed up, unless I was willing to get long here. But once I've seen the blue dot and it gives me another bar, I can put my stop underneath that blue dot and have a 20-point stop, maybe 22 points, and be pretty confident. Assuming I've got some other reason to be long. If I just missed it, see how I've had one blue, and this is the second blue? As long as I haven't had the third one, I'm not chasing. And as long as I'm not seeing yellow, right? So if there's a third, so here, this is chasing. The third blue dot, probably chasing, right? There's been no pullback really whatsoever, and I've had 3 aggressive volume shifts here, because that's what that's showing. And you can see it on the footprint, but they're basically like, sellers are coming in and they're getting nothing out of their work. And so buyers are just like having no trouble pushing it. And when they do that, they need to trap sellers to actually continue higher. So you can get some momentum here, but a third one, that's very rarely going to go any higher than 10 points. So it's not that it's not a short, it's just too late to buy. Usually. Sometimes it just runs. There's the yellow dot. So see how we get the yellow bar, right? Like I talked about before. That's another sign that's like, wow, this is really extended. We're probably going to need some kind of a pullback, right? And then there's the pullback. And then it comes right back to around the yellow box. And now, anytime it wants, it can start running again. Let's see if we get another box. Or it might just dump. Here, let me get rid of this one. Let's see if we get another box here. Oh, there's one right there. Whoops. So, all right, bearish. Okay, so see how we got some nice consolidation here? This is exactly where we want it, right? So rule number 1, if we get VPOC above that high on a bullish bar that's not pink, it's almost certainly bullish, and we just need an aggressive reason to enter, but it's probably going to squeeze. And like I said, a triangle might be all I need. I'm not totally sure about that, but I know for sure if I get a pullback into this level after it breaks out, it's a great entry. And then if I have any reason to believe it's bearish, such as I've traded underneath a bearish apex, or I'm going from the upper left to the bottom right, or I'm at location, then this may actually be an okay place just to sell. Otherwise, holding this level and getting an aggressive seller to show up here, such as a POC under POC, star down, X down, anything like that, is usually a pretty good sell, right? So let's see what they do. Triangle down. Last time that just dropped. Let's see if that happens again. There's my aggressive sell. That's usually right there is where I'm like, okay, I'm ready to chase. Because remember 1, 2. So it's like I can get in anywhere on a pullback, basically. Anywhere in this bar or lower or higher, sorry. I can sell as long as I can put my stop up here comfortably. As long as I can size that correct, it's probably fine. And yeah, it just goes. So that makes sense. Right? So you at least get the scalp out of it. Now, I don't know if it continues. But it might. Yeah, see, don't put your stop at break even on with futures. I really, especially if you like took this here or here on this pullback, which is again, I think totally fine. You can't move your stop to break even. You can't. It feels great to do it, but I'm telling you, it's going to ruin you. So instead, take profits 10 points down, and then just leave a runner. And then you can get really paid. Right, and then leave that runner until you have a reason to get out. Because, like I said, especially when you're trading, if you can get beyond one of these boxes, there's momentum in the market. That's what it means. So, like this blue getting beat, there's momentum in the market. There's been a blue beat, and we're underneath the yellow one. And like I said, I filtered out all the ones that are meaningless, so they're not going to show up very often. So as long as this bar holds here, if we can't get over that, it's definitely bearish. Now, it might chop and then lift. Okay, there's a blue one. Let's see. This is cool. So now we've got a blue one after some consolidation, right? Exactly where they work really well. I have found that sometimes when they're pink, they don't necessarily work very well for entries. So let's see. If we get under this with a bar that's not purple, with a VPOC underneath it, with a bar that's not purple, it's probably bearish. We can short any signal of aggression. If we continue higher and then come back and retest this level and hold it, it's probably bullish. But we may want to wait until this one gets reclaimed. Actually, probably it's point of control, if I had to guess. That little dash right there is probably where you want to get over before we really commit to getting long. But let's see what they do. Oh yeah, see, they run into it and then they find an aggressive seller. So I'm probably not going to short this quite yet, but I bet this is going to get beat. And then because we got an aggressive seller here, if this gets beat, you probably just have to chase it. I'll be honest. Yeah, like right here, I doubt they give you another opportunity. See that? I hope that makes sense why. Like, we already knew that it was bearish because we got underneath both boxes. We got underneath the blue, we got underneath the yellow, right? I would have had full license to short pretty much any aggressive signal here. And honestly, now that I think about it, because of that is probably a short as well, even though you're fighting this blue one, especially when it's pink, because they just don't seem very strong when they're pink. They get beat a lot when they're pink. And so this might be a really good opportunity to short it up here because we're rejecting this blue one. It's just lined up so perfectly. And you've got this nice aggressive seller here. But if you want to be sure, once you've got the VPOC underneath it, it's not coming back. They've already rejected that level, right? After it was support, it's now resistance. They tested above it. Look they put volume above it to make sure that everybody, all the big players all the market makers, they're done, right? Anybody who long down here, like professionally, that's them selling right there. For sure, right? They're done. Anybody who scalped this little piece is finished when you get that. They tested above it and they closed below it with a star. Just ultra aggression. This probably occurred. I don't have my time showing because I don't know. I don't want to know what day it is. But I bet anything, this occurred really fast. So like as soon as that shows up, I'd probably just put like a stop order in, and that yeah. So there's the blue to say like, whoa, slow down, right? Stop shorting. We're probably gonna get a pullback, and then right around here is where you'd want to get your next aggressive sell if possible. But it could just lift. So it makes a lot of sense to take profits when it turns blue. A lot of sense. But it doesn't mean it's going to reverse. Okay, blue dot or blue box, right? After some consolidation. It's been bearish. I kind of expect it to break, right? That should be the expectation. If it doesn't and that level holds, it's going to lift. So let's see what they do. I'm not going to aggressively buy it because it's not bullish, right? And I'm underneath a blue one already. But there's probably a good chance that we come back into this level. So if I can get the right risk reward, I could take it. So triangle, I'm probably not going to take that. Just a little bit too aggressive. I'm there. That's the one. So see how it comes back into it? This probably continues higher. And we get another box, interestingly. So basically it might dip again, but as long as I can put my stop here underneath this one, I've gotten an aggressive buyer showing up on a pullback. It's probably going to lift. I don't know if it's going to go higher than this. My guess is it's probably going to lift. I might be wrong. It might just fail. It fails. Okay, good to know. So that's interesting. So you had two boxes in a row. This technically didn't get tested. Maybe it has to get touched. Interesting. Okay, so but no doubt, as soon as this, you know what? You could put your stop there, but if you get a VPOC on a bear bar below this, which happened here, you're out of the trade right there. You know you're done. So even if, I guess that is the stop though, isn't it? Yeah, that's your stop. So if you wanted to be aggressive, you could. I think the problem here is you were working against the trend. And yeah, so you probably needed, yeah, I wonder if a better rule, if I want to be, I literally just thought of this just now. If I'm working against the trend, in addition to the pullback, I may want to wait for the triangle up that follows. Because if it's bullish, it's going to happen most of the time. Sometimes you'll miss a move by waiting for the triangle, but usually if it's good, it's going to go. And in this case, the only reason I really want to participate here, right, since it's so bearish, is if I think they're just going to scream higher. Because otherwise, like, why not just, like, stick with the trend, in my opinion. So perhaps the rule, when it's bearish, should be, even if I see two of them, that I actually need to get a triangle up after this pullback. So here, I would have needed a pullback and then a triangle up. And we didn't get it. See that? No triangle. The only triangle up was after the first one. And I think that only works when you're trading with the trend for the first one. You need, like we saw here. With the trend, triangle down just goes. But if I wanted to, I could have waited for this triangle down. See that? So if it's going to work, it's probably going to give me the triangle. Now, of course, sometimes, like, yeah, on the pullback. So not the one right after the box, but the next one, if it goes bullish bar, triangle, that's probably the entry against the trend. Whoops, there's another one. Sorry, keep doing that. Okay, it's unintentional. So during this move, I didn't even notice, there was a yellow one too. So you already kind of knew that this trade may not be working. Because that doesn't make a lot of sense if you're reversing. This should just go if you're reversing. So here you got the yellow one. So now again, it's definitely bullish if you get a VPOC above that on a bullish bar that's not pink. But if that level holds on a pullback, and then we'll say, yeah, and then it's going to be bearish because it's in a bearish trend, and you're probably going to end up getting a triangle down too. So first triangle down, I mean, that might be good enough with the trend. But do they give us a pullback? They don't. See, yeah, with the trend, you're not going to get a pullback. We saw the exact same thing here. Interesting. Okay. So what I've been doing is shorting this, the dot, confirming aggression. But perhaps with the trend, I can just take the triangle. But for sure the dot's good because you've gotten underneath a box with the VPOC on a bar that pulls bearish and it's not purple. So I already know it's bearish there, right? So any pullback I basically want to sell. And that, I mean, whether or not you get in here or here or here, it really doesn't matter, right? So that just, not surprisingly, it beats a box and it just absolutely capitulates. And that's what it's supposed to do. Oh, there's one. So now look how we've got it. See how it went blue? Right? It started turning blue. So we know it's overextended. And there's been no pullback. Again, could it keep going down? Yes. Technically it could. But generally, it's not going to. It's also a purple bar. So it's a purple bar that's blue, right? And it's got an aggressive trader in it. It's a star. There's an aggressive trader up here. So yes, it could keep going, but I think the better trade here is probably to exit the short, like right away, basically. And then if we get a VPOC above that high, it's gonna squeeze, most likely. So let's see. I don't know if it works. They go a little lower. Okay, now that's a pink bar. That doesn't really count. I need a regular bullish bar, white bar. There we go. White bar over the line. So now it's bullish. Now I'd love a pullback to get long. I don't know if I get it. There, yeah, blue dot. We probably don't get it. Yeah, that'd be your best chance. I hate that it's the third dot, but it's on a pullback, so it's probably okay. That is probably okay. Yuck. Yeah, third dot. Okay, third dot, not okay. Does it actually break it though? Where is the box? Here. Yeah, it didn't squeeze very high. Where did it get stuck? Oh, it got stuck where it's blue. See, it's blue here, so we knew it was probably going to get a pullback to here. It just didn't actually flip. I think this is going to crash. Yeah. Oh, wow. All the way back to the low. Okay, so this is too late. That's too bad. Because, yeah, it definitely was not time to short. And it was technically bullish here, but there's nothing, there's no signals here, right? And by the time you get, I guess this one's probably okay. You're usually going to get 10 points. But by the time you get that third dot, apparently that really is too late. That's too bad. At least when you're trading against the trend. Okay, so we'll keep going. No more dot, no more boxes, no more boxes. And again, it shouldn't matter what time frame we do this on, so I'm going to try it on other time frames too, but the 24 tick is what I normally trade. I don't think this is today. I'm actually not even looking at the prices on purpose. I really don't want to remember anything. I just want to have like a open mind to whatever's going to happen based on forward testing. Okay, there's one. Whoops. Okay, so what's happening? We've got, is it in Supernova? And I'd say that was the last one that's broken, right? So this would have to break to undo it. So it's technically Supernova on a pullback, but it's already pulled back all the way, and now it's consolidating, right? And it's giving us a bearish signal here. And we're working down. So our assumption should probably be this is going to continue lower, but if we can get above it on a bar that is not pink, then it should squeeze. On the other hand, if we say it's not bearish, we should wait for a pullback into the area and then a triangle down. So let's see if we get that, or does it just dies right there? So that would be, let's see, is that too late? This one, because we got continuation lower, lift, and if you thought it was bearish, you could take it here. If you thought it was bullish, you'd want to wait for the triangle. Do we get 10 points doing that? You get 0 points doing that. Okay. So that one really did not work. That is a straight up stop. So let's see, was it at a level? Yeah, okay, good. It was at, well, I don't know what day it is, but it looks like it was at a location. So that makes sense. Some of these are just going to straight up stop. Now, do we break over this though with the VPOC? See, look, we put VPOC above it, but it's on a bearish bar. So perhaps, since it didn't continue, If this creates a triangle, does that give you, is that a short? Jeez. Okay. So the level, see, okay, so here's what happened. This could have taken 2 tries, is what I'm seeing. So you have the signal that this area is getting attacked by sellers, right? They try to take it right away. But remember, it's in supernova. We're trading above where is that? From the low, right? Where's the low? Right here. From the low, we traded above this apex, right? And then it pulled back and held. So generally, this is going to continue higher. That's just the way the markets work, right? And we know that. If you mark that level, let me just take off everything out here. Take off everything else. And we're going to mark that apex that we beat. It's very normal to come back and retest this, right? That's super normal. So when we come back into it, where was this? Right there. So when we come back into it, and then we bounce again, our assumption here should be neutral to bullish generally, because but the problem is that it's been bearish for apparently the whole day, right? We saw, like, I don't know what time it is, but if this is regular session, we've been bearish for a long time. So it's possible this low is getting taken out, and this was just some kind of a complex pullback, especially on these tiny time frames. It's very normal. So in other words, we're not confident about the direction. That's what I'm trying to get at. It looks like it could be the low. We are moving away from the low, but we were moving away from the low, and now we're pulling back and we're consolidating. So direction is not clear. Therefore, they are trying to attack this area. Sellers are trying to attack this area, and the rule is if the level cannot be beat by bulls, it's bearish. So normally, what we have been seeing so far is just an immediate evacuation because the momentum was to the bear side. Well, now this area has some trapped sellers in it, right, at the low, because they got aggressive here when it was overextended, and then they got squeezed a bit. So now they're like, I'm not so sure, right? These guys, whoever sold down here, is like hurting. So when it comes back to their buy, and they get an opportunity to exit here, some of them are going to take that opportunity, right? So, in other words, the easy way to see this is if I don't have a dot, a yellow dot, or a star, or some other sign of aggression here, other than the box, and I don't have clear indication that it's bearish, like taking the short right into that previous level, the location's just not good. You're trading short in the hole, right? And so it's just not a good idea generally. Instead, what we want to do is watch this level and see if buyers are able to take it back. And so you wait. Now, like I said, I might have been fooled by this and seen the star and thought, you know what, they're just going to push it again. Let's just shorten the hole and try. And it's not wrong. It's just aggressive, especially when you're in supernova. It's just kind of aggressive. But you could also say that it's in bearish supernova too, because you have traded underneath the wrong side. You've traded underneath. Have you? Yeah, you've traded underneath. You closed it underneath this. So if you saw this as bearish, it makes sense to take this. But if you knew what was going on before and you knew that there might have been trapped shorts here, you maybe skip this one. But the better place to trade apparently is when they come back up to this level and they can't get a VPOC. See where the yellow line gets stuck here? They put an aggressive trader in, but the VPOC is under the line. And then the very next bar, the VPOC gets above the line, but it closes bearish. So when they get a triangle down there, that's kind of, it's like confirming this level. And so even if you didn't know you were bearish before and you weren't sure about shorting this one, you could technically short this, take 10 points, and then leave a runner. And then if you do break the low, it's gonna, what you do here, you break this low, it's gonna pay you, right? So yeah, I think that's how to think about it, is that you don't necessarily want to get aggressive every time you have to know what happened before. But okay, so there's another one. Let's not look forward this time. So now we know the direction, right? Now it looks bearish to me. So the idea is if they continue lower and put in aggression, we could probably short. Otherwise, we want to see them not break above that on a bullish bar that's not pink. And if they do, it's probably an opportunity to squeeze higher. So let's see if they do. So see how the level holds on the first test, right? And I would expect that to go lower. Yep. So this is normal. This is how it's supposed to work. Okay. And it goes lower, and it goes lower. So yeah, see how maybe let's say you took every single one of these, or I took every single one of these. I'm really doing this for myself. If I took every single one of these, I take what's the stop here? Let's say I got in at the star. Super aggressive, right? Got in at like 98, and I put my stop somewhere behind this. So like 24, let's say, right? So like it's a pretty big stop. Like that's pretty big. That's a little bit bigger than I'm comfortable with. I really want 22, not like 24, but like let's say I lose 25 points, right? Which is a lot. If I also take this one, which is a much better risk reward. This one's 1650 with a stop above 34, right? So that's much better. That's not even 20 points. So with an 18-point stop or whatever, now your first extent, before you have any heat, you went from 16 to like, let's say, like even if you got like 56, right, just to make the math easy, like that's 50 points, right? So even if you and then if you took the other ones, most of those work too. So that's why I like this trade, is because when it does work, it works big. Okay, so this one, same thing, right? We knew we were bearish. As long as they don't get a real bar up here other than pink, they give dot, triangle down with the plus. The shorts on the triangle, 64. The stops above this high, let's say 79, right? So, I mean, it's not bad, you know, and you get just money. Okay, oh, here's one. Okay, bearish, right? Counter trend. We said we have to wait for the triangle up on after the pullback. So let's see. First of all, do they defend this level? It's pink. My guess is they probably won't, but they might. So let's see. Get the triangle up first. We're not going to do that because it's not bullish. No reason to be aggressive. Now we have to see if the level holds. It does. So the level holds, okay? If this had some sort of a star on it or something and it was bullish, I would just take it. But like I said, I'm seeing that that's just not working. So let's wait for the triangle. And we get it. Can I take this? 1650. Oh, wait, stop is here. 94, right? So it's a little bit big, but not crazy. Oh, that gets totally exterminated. Okay, good. So when that's good. See, this is what I'm saying. We want to find these situations and see what's going on. So is it? I don't think it's a location problem. I think what the problem is there's no aggression here. There's no blue dot. There's no star. There's nothing on this bar, and that's the problem, in my opinion. The triangle by itself, it's not even pink, right? There's nothing here. It's just a triangle all by itself. And we're not breaking above any resistance. Did we have resistance there? Not really. Did it? Yeah, not really. So, again, I don't know if that's the right day. It might not have, those lines might not even been there yet. But that's good to know. So fighting the trend is not working very well. Let's put it that way. When we know that it's bearish and just trying to go with these boxes, that's not necessarily working very well. It's working better with the trend or when it's like suspect whether or not the trend is continuing. And this is like the third time I've seen the pink bar not work as an extension, even on a pullback. So now when they get the VPOC below this on a bearish bar, can we short and make our money back if we were too aggressive there? Right there. That's when it's bearish. I really want to pull back or else a yellow dot. There's the yellow dot. So worst case scenario, I'm super aggressive and I take a short at 80, right? And I'd have to put my stop probably 20 points above that, basically, just because I don't want to risk that much. Do I get 20 points? Nope. And I'm not surprised. And I'm not surprised that that didn't work. Not surprised at all because it's pretty extended and we already had the star here. So like I said, they're not all going to work perfectly. And this one was just a dot and nothing else. It never came back and really retested the level or anything. It just broke down. I guess it did for the wick. But that one definitely stops. Now, does it come all the way back up here? In other words, should I be looking for retraces to short? Oh, it went beyond it. That sucks. Yeah, I don't know what time it is or whatever, but that was not a fun rotation. So I'll say that was probably, if you were doing it with every single signal, this would be a stop, and then this would probably be a stop to the short side if you tried to short this before the breakdown. The problem here is you're literally shorting the low, right? And that, I mean, sometimes it works, but it's pretty dangerous. So, but I wonder if that's common on these. I don't know how common that is that happens, but I wonder if on the pink bars that have boxes, I wonder if that's actually a common scenario. It kind of makes sense that it would be. So it's starting to chop a little bit. Oh, whoops. Okay, so another pink one, right? We have not had great success with the pink bars yet. And it also looks bearish. So let's see what happens here. So they pull back to the level. They give me a dot. They give me another box. Like I said, if this wasn't pink, I'd think if I got triangle up, it's probably good to go. We get triangle up. And it works. Good. All right, so I say in what I've seen so far is that usually they do, but the pink bar has been causing us some trouble. So here they sometimes do work, but we got another box here to signal it to go to. So that's good. Go to the next box. And this might seem boring to go one at a time, but I'm telling you, there is no better way to learn whether or not you have an edge than to just pick a random day and see if it works, you know? Again, I'd say trend now is like neutral or at least contested. So we should probably just wait for confirmation, right? Not be aggressive here. So let's see if that works or if they just drop it. That would suck. They just dump it. Now, again, there might have been a level here. I've got them all turned off. Not today. But I don't really see any other reason to chase it. So that one just drops. You don't lose anything. You would add to take it right away. Bigger picture, I don't want to see the time because I don't want to, or the day, but bigger picture, it has been bearish. See that? So if you saw this as bearish, I don't think it's wrong to chase it, to aggressively push it, because now you're not at the low, right? Like you were. Where's the one that showed up at the low? Oh, I can't find it. Oh, it was the breakdown of the blue one. Like it's not like this where you were actually at the low a day, right? You've now gotten a retrace, and then consolidation. Yeah, so this is when they work best. But oftentimes you're going to get a test of this level again. Sometimes you don't. And if you waited for the next dot, you probably it was so far away that you probably get hosed. Oh wait, there's another one. Okay, bullish on a pink bar. Again, they've been like 25% so far on the pink and purple bars. So let's see what it does. Again, trend is probably bearish, so we definitely want confirmation before we buy it. Yeah, that's not what we want to see. Oh, another blue bar. We saw this exact same setup here. Almost exactly the same. Right? Box, pullback, another box, and a star. if we get a triangle up, I don't know why not to take it. We get the triangle up. This should go here. And we should be able to leave our stop down here for like a 18 to 20 point stop. Nope, that one fails. Like I said, the pink bars seem to not work as often as the white ones do. Good to know. Was there any level here that was getting in our way? Oh, there was. It went right into this on the footprint. So that's too bad. Well, the good news is I probably wouldn't have taken it in real life because you don't want to buy right into resistance. All right, nothing. Oh, where was the other one? Here, I was curious what happens if these get reclaimed. So they got reclaimed. They got lost, and then reclaimed here. Do they go? Yeah. Interesting. Okay, what about these? Do these get reclaimed and then lift? I guess it's kind of the same move. They get lost, they get reclaimed here, it becomes support, and they go. That might also work. I've seen that work with stars. I don't know if it works with the boxes. Let's see if this one, so it has to get beat and then reclaimed. Beat, right? Got over it. Now let's see, do we get under that? Nah, it becomes support now. Huh. And look at how they were all dots too. Let me do, here. I new idea. Beat, right? It's bullish. Beat. Here it's reclaimed. So I mean, you could try to buy that and that would be a failure, right? Obviously doesn't work every time. They try to reclaim it, it becomes resistance. That's what I would expect because it didn't bounce off the top, so it's probably going to be resistance. Oh, and that keeps you from buying this one. Interesting. Because there's your resistance, right? Okay, hold on. Let me back up. Let's try it with another one. This is probably way too far away. I want to see when they're like, when it retests the area frequently or shortly thereafter. Okay, here's one at the low. Purple. We beat it. We reclaim it. We reclaim it at a purple bar. We reclaim it here. Clearly reclaim it here, but no dot on this bar. The dot was early. And then it bounces, right? Yeah, interesting. So you almost need to see it do this. Otherwise, it becomes support. Look at that. That's cool. Okay. There's two right here. Now, let me do the bottom one. I'm going to do this one at a time. The bottom one, we went higher, and then it gave it away, right? And that becomes resistance. And then when we beat it, does it become support? Right here? Nope. Rejected. Rejected. Yeah, so this is the better trade. Wait till you know if it's rejected or not. And that's what I was trying to say. That's what I meant by this. Right? Do you see the pattern? Hopefully you see the pattern. Like that. Up, let it go. Yellow dot, release. I don't know if that's just because it ran into overnight high though. Let's try it in the middle of nowhere here. This is the only one I see. Oh, this one, shoot, they're right next to each other. Okay, there's two blue ones. This one doesn't go anywhere. That might not work. It just becomes resistance right away. This one does go somewhere. Let's see if they take this and then reclaim it. So this one got beat, reclaimed. Do they bounce off of it? Yeah, they try. No dot though. There, dot. That's where I would think I'd want to be getting long. And that fails. But again, this one didn't go anywhere initially. So I don't know if that matters or not. But and then this one hasn't gotten beat yet. Oh, see, now it's resistance, I bet, right? Yeah, now it's resistance. And it left the area, came back, resistance. Oh, but this is the first time it's getting beat. Beat, beat, beat. So now we have to reclaim it. Oh, they just resist it again. Yeah. Do they ever get back up there? I don't know if it works later. I don't think they ever get back up there. Okay. Okay, let me try like one more like that. Again, I don't know if there's a pattern there or not. But this is how you find them. Okay, continued. Did we get... Oh, and then there's another one here. Continued higher. We need to beat them. Axis support. That's cool. That's not the first time we've seen that. Again, I don't know how long it lasts. I want a sideways period. Okay, does not continue right away. Immediately gets beat. Reclaimed. Does it become support? No. No, not at all. So I don't think they work for very long if they do work at all that way. Consistently. But like, look at this one. Continued. Try to beat it. Can't. Resistance. Beat it with a pink bar. That's got to be resistance, right? Yeah. Okay. All right. Okay, let me back up to like a totally different day, and we're just gonna try this one more time. And then I'm gonna, well, actually, let's switch to a different time frame. Let's do that. Let's switch to a totally different time frame on a different day. Like I said, I'm just, okay, that looks like that's as far back as I can go. So let's go to chart settings, and we're going to switch this bar period to, let's do like 40 ticks, right? We're going to go bigger first, and then I'm going to go small. So let's see if we saw, like, again, I wouldn't say that setup is working 60% of the time, based on that one day, right? On the 24 tick, but I do see it work sometimes. So it might need some more work to work on that time frame. So let's see if it gets better or worse when we go on a higher time frame, because that could tell us something. So we're bullish, right? I can't go any further back, otherwise I would. We get one right here. I think that's the first box. And they just immediately lift it. Not the first time we've seen that. It's also got a star on it, though. It's got other ways to get into it. There's another one. Whoops. And this is just trend up. And it's just lift. It never really gives a pullback to get long yet. Okay, there's one. Right, counter trend. Right, so if we beat it with a bar that's with a VPOC above it and a bar that's not pink, it's bullish. Otherwise, it's bearish. Okay, let's see. Okay, so see how it held on a pullback? But then it gave us another one. So I don't know if that means we're probably going to get another pullback. I'm not sure. There's no dot there. There's no star there. We saw on the 24 tick this didn't work. Yeah. Okay, cool. There's the star. That's probably the short. Dot, star, after the box, after testing the level, right? So stop goes here. Entry. Oh, wait. Counter trend. We have to wait for the triangle. There. Good. That should give us 1-to-1. Wow. One more try. Yep. At least 1-to-1, right? At least. So, okay. So that worked. Did they beat this one? They didn't. They tested below it, but didn't get VPOC below it. So we don't. Oh, wait. Maybe they will. There we go. VPOC below it. Beat. So now can they reclaim it and turn it into support? Or does it act as resistance right away like we saw on the other time frame? It acts as resistance right away. Cool. Now this one gets tested. So we saw this happen on the other time frame too. Again, I don't think it lasts very long. Now it's probably done because it's been completely annihilated. I doubt this acts as resistance on the way back, but it might. We'll probably see another box before then, hopefully. It's funny that we don't... Well, I guess it's a pretty high time frame. It might not show. Okay, so is it... Really? Look at that. Well, that's cool. I mean, 12.850... that's a pretty big time frame, but that'd be 12.855 all the way down to 12.785. Or lower. That's pretty cool. So there might be reason enough to keep an eye on. At least maybe that might work better on the higher time frame, actually. Wow, these don't show up very much. There's one. It's pink, though. We saw those not work very well in the other time frame. Again, it looks like we're in supernova, right? We broke over an apex and we can't take that low back. So I'm guessing bullish, which means any pullback that holds here, it can probably be bought. Let's see if they give us a pullback at all or if it just lifts. Yeah, it looks like it just lifts right into that area. So you might have to be a little more aggressive on a higher time frame. The little pullbacks might need to be found in a smaller time frame. Because there is a wick. It's just, and if you look on a smaller time frame, here I'll show you. If you look at this exact same thing on a 15 tick, which is right here. Now we're not going to get as many signals because we've got so many. I don't have enough bars showing, but you're going to see a pullback. Watch. I thought you would. Let's see. Hold on. So here's the signal occurs at 12/8/24 right here. Yeah. So see how you get a pullback? And then that, whatever, like I said, I don't have all my signals loaded here, but if you got a signal here, that's probably the entry on the smaller time. So that might be the way to do it. I might actually have to use 2 time frames. Interesting. Okay. I don't know how often that's the case, but that's a possibility. All right, no more boxes. This one now is acting as support. Oh, wow. That's pretty sweet. Okay. Oh, hold on real quick. I just missed a text. Oh, it's all good. All right. Apex reminded me that their sale is ending tomorrow. I've got enough of those now. I mean, it's tempting, believe me, to get more, but I'm already working. I can only do like 1 or 2 a month, so. Oh, whoops, I missed one. Sorry. Okay, so I don't know what to do about this. I guess just move it because I don't think they last that long. This one's probably done too. We've gotten over it, under it, over it, under it. I don't know, but all right. So is it bullish? I mean, technically. Looks neutral, right? So let's see if we can get under it and then be bearish. Otherwise, hold the level, and it is, and then bounce and it's bullish. So if we can get under it, though, that's the easy. Yeah. See, it got under it. It gave me a dot and an X. So if you want to wait for triangle up, yeah. So I don't know how. The only reason not to take this is if you have a level above it, I think. I don't think we had really any other way to know, unless it's, it's not pink. I don't know. Does it work? Yeah, it doesn't work. I kind of had a feeling it might not. So other than that, I think some of them just stop. What is there a level here? Because we saw this happen in the other one too. Oh, okay. So it didn't hold the level. Oh, and it ran into this. Interesting. Okay, so that pulls back, gives us X with a dot, triangle up, and then fails. The one thing I will say is we've got all these yellow dots lined up, and if it's bullish, those should break relatively easily. So perhaps another rule, even though it would stifle a lot of the lows, you wouldn't catch the low if you did this, but if you don't want to be aggressive and you don't like stops, an easy rule would be you gotta break above one of these first before you even think about getting long. And then you're gonna get long on like real pullbacks. And you can filter out a lot of stuff. See, now you've gotten over it. Look, now you've gotten over one. It might not be a bad rule. And now all of a sudden that level gets activated, and now I bet the blue dot probably works. Yeah. Interesting. Actually, the star's even better. That's even better. So break above the blue. So yeah, because this level did get beat right there, but not right away. It had to go up first, and then it broke. And so if you shorted that, you'd get steamrolled. So perhaps another rule, and this makes sense, I've seen this work on other setups, is that if you don't get the immediate signal, like if they wiggle around here some more, you just hold off. Especially if you're trying to get the reversal. Yeah, because if it's gonna work, it's gonna work right away. Those big squeezes. Again, I've seen that elsewhere. So where's the next one? And they really don't show up very often on the big time frame. Oh, there's one. Shit, missed it. All right, so again, we're in supernova. Oh yeah, we're in supernova still, but it's questionable whether or not it's still bullish. It's like right on the edge, right? So, and it's pink. So the idea would be triangle up. Now, we have not gotten above our yellow. If you thought it was bearish, you'd want to wait till there. And now you know it's bullish, and now you want to pull back to buy. It did not give us a pullback to enter, to be fair. It didn't give us a dot. It just gave us a wick with a star. I'm probably not catching that, I'll be honest. Yeah, and they just rip it. So that's what you give away by waiting for confirmation. It's stuff like that. If you're okay missing the V's and you don't like taking the stops, you know, even though it technically set up. And again, there are other ways to do it. Pink at the bottom, followed by a non-bullish bar. It's usually bullish. So, but now let's see if this level, I hope we come back down here. Let's see if this level holds, because that'd be cool. Whoa, neat. Okay, so that gives me a really good reason not to hunt the aggressive trade, because when it does V, it's coming back anyway. Whoops. It's coming back anyway. And as long as I get a bullish bar here, I can take the trade there. Wow, this one's still working. Is that lined up with something else? Yeah, okay. That might not be because of this. That might be because of a value area high or whatever that is. Daily VPOC or something like that. Okay. Oh, whoops, I missed one. Shit, missed that. A purple one again. Is it bearish? I mean, no, it's neutral, right? So let's see if they hold the level. Okay, we saw this not work on the smaller time frame where they didn't really come back to test it and put a dot up here. So but again, we know if it wiggles around and then breaks, it's not necessarily going to squeeze. So I'm guessing it's just trade is over here unless we leave the area and come back. Yeah, see how once they wiggle around and don't trigger, I don't think you want to take this. And I also don't think you want to take the squeeze there. Yep, see? So it's got to work right away. Okay, that's good to know. So if it doesn't work right away, now, once we know the direction, I bet this area becomes support or resistance. And I don't know what direction it's going yet. It doesn't seem like it knows either. Okay, bullish. Now does it come back and tag it? Oh, not quite. It does this one though. Okay, that's too bad. I mean, it kind of did here. All right. Let's do one more, and then I'll go to a small time frame. We'll find them all over the place. Oh, whoops. Two of them. All right. So blue, yellow. When they happen like this, one of them is probably going to squeeze, right? It's bearish. I'd prefer that it squeezes lower. But let's see what happens. So I want to get behind this or see that hold or else get behind, give me the other one or get behind this and see that hold, one or the other, and then we could potentially get a squeeze. Otherwise, if it holds the level and then gives me an aggressive signal to the other side and a triangle, and it breaks the yellow dot, then I guess it could be a long. It's interesting because there's no blue dots to break, so I wonder if that also makes it more likely to go lower. I'm not sure. Oh, there's the blue dot. So that's the blue dot you'd have to break if you want to wait to be conservative. Note they got a purple bar under it and nothing else, so if it gives triangle up, it's probably bullish. So this is the aggressive entry. Otherwise, wait for this to break and then come back and test that and get long. Let's see. Or does it just wiggle around in here? Or look at it, breaks it, comes back with a blue dot, and it runs. I bet that's it. Oh, right there. Yeah, cool. So unfortunately, no trigger on this time frame, but we're not going to see it on the small time frame. I bet. Nothing much. And what about here on the wick? It would have been this. It does give a dot right there. Yeah, so on the small time frame, it looks like it's running, and you'd have to be pretty aggressive to get that. But look at all the big time frame. It's like it's just getting started, right? So you might want to chase that on the small time frame because you can get 50 points on it in the bigger time. When the bigger time frame sets up, for a squeeze, if it's a 40 tick, you might get 40 points for that setup. Because on the 24 tick, you regularly get 20 points. Oh, whoops. Double again. So same exact thing. This one's purple. I really don't want to get the follow through there. Oh, this one's pink. One of them's going to follow through, one of them's not. So I really want to get broken beyond one of those with a VPOC on a bar. So that one broke beyond it, but it's on a purple bar. It doesn't really count. Oh, now it does. Okay, so bearish. And it was bearish, right? So you could just, but it's not an aggressive bar. I'd need a yellow dot. Yeah, it doesn't set up. There's just no aggression. Okay, do they get above this high on a bull? It's too late, isn't it? It's too late. Oh, we saw this on the other time frame. It came back, held the level, couldn't get a POC above, and gave a star down. We've seen this before. This is going lower. This is why you do this. We saw this exact same thing on the smaller time frame. I bet anything it's going to take the low out. Yep. Yeah, see, VPOC couldn't get above. Here, look. The little yellow line on a bullish bar, the highest it got was right here, that little dash. And then once it got over the high, oops, I don't have it lined up right. Helps if it's lined up right. Yeah, it still doesn't do it. Does not get over the high of the bar with the box. Once the VPOC does get over the high of the bar of the box, it closes aggressively bearish. That's money. That's interesting though, because it tries to go and then it comes all the way back and then star down. Okay. And then, yep, we saw this too, and it rejects again. That becomes resistance. Someone gets trapped up here. That's what I said. It might even be the same spot, but I don't think it is. It's on a different time frame. I doubt it is. It's the same spot, but it's the same exact set. Oh, that's the end. Okay, maybe it is the same spot. All right, so now let's try the smaller time frame. So we're going to erase the levels. This way. Erase lines. Yes. Okay, and then I can't back up that much in the smaller one because I don't have that many bars loaded, but we can do this anyway. So we'll try 15 tick. That's about as fast as I can process information in real time. No real reason to look at like the 10 tick on ES. I mean on NQ because yeah, I'd never be. I mean maybe during Asia you could do it, but they just print too fast in real time. So they should show up pretty often here if I have enough bars loaded. Once they start showing up, we should start seeing them a lot. I don't know how far back I went, but they're not showing up now because I haven't loaded enough bars. We're too far back. So I'm just looking for the first one quick. If I miss one, it's not a big deal. They're going to start showing up a lot, I imagine. Okay, here comes the dots. And again, you can load more or just load a different day, but it doesn't really matter. If it works during this time, if it works in these conditions, like I said in the beginning, here we go. Here they come. Then I'm pretty confident that they'll work pretty much anywhere. So, okay, so there's one. Right? If they work in this condition in the same way on all these time frames, it probably work. Because yeah, in these choppy conditions, if it works, it'll on multiple time frames, it'll work in multiple environments too. You can't say the same about like trending markets, but yeah, if it works in these conditions, it'll work somewhere else. So neutral to bullish, right? We're in supernova, are we? Maybe not. Not quite. Only pink bar above. I'd say it's not quite supernova. Oh, yes, it is from here. So supernova, and we got a bearish signal, right? So we would need it to give us what we really want to see is a close above it a VPOC above it on a bullish bar. Otherwise, we need a retest of the level. So let's see if we get a close above it on a bullish bar. That's what I want. Ah, that's pink. I need a real one. Oh, there it is. So it's probably bullish. What I'd like is a pullback now. But they rarely give it to you. Yeah. See how that just squeezes once they get over it? And that's why, see, 1 dot from the apex, 2 dots from the apex. I can chase it here. Now it's too late. See what I mean by capitulation? When these bars get beat like that, it can be really big. Now it looks huge, but remember this is a very small time frame. So what this is, you would have gotten, let's say here would be like the latest I'd get in 81.50. I mean that's still pretty good, but really that's only 40 points, right? But that's 40 points uncontested. Okay. Oh, there's the next one. Okay, it's bullish, right? So basically I just want to see that level hold, and I want to see a blue dot. Level holds, and the blue dot's way too high. I'm not going to chase that. I want him to come back and tag it. And they're probably not going to do it. Yeah, it doesn't set up. That's too bad. Not yet, anyway. Oh, here we go. Tag it and bounce. Dot. No star. Nah, gave it up. Would have needed a triangle up there for sure, if not a star. So, yeah, I mean, the only way to catch this would be to chase the dot. And, I mean, to be fair, it's pretty bullish. So maybe you can chase it when it sets up after that little pullback. Maybe it's okay to chase it once. Whoops, there's one. Wow, right where the other one was. Still bullish, that means, because if it was bullish then this level is probably still bullish. But on this tiny time frame, it may be pulling back. So let's see if we get a retest. That dot is exactly where I don't want it. Yep. We've learned that. That's what I want. See how it tests underneath the VPOC and closes bullish? Now, if you thought it might be bearish here, you wait for the triangle up, which I'm pretty sure you probably get. Yep, triangle up. And I bet you it lifts now. There you go. And look, we've gotten above a yellow dot, making it better. In fact, that's a test of that yellow dot. And then on this tiny little time frame, your entry is at 70.50 and your stop could be at, like, let's say 58.50. So it's small, but it gets you to 86. So it's still more than 10 points. Oh, it might give you more than that. Oh, there's one. This one's pink. Definitely less likely to give you a big extension from a pullback and bounce. Let's see what it does. Oh, wow, it gives you a dot right away. There, yeah, wick. See, this is probably not going to set up. See that? So, yeah, especially on this tiny little time frame, it might be okay just to chase the dot as long as you know it's bullish. Otherwise, you need the pullback right there and then triangle up. This is probably okay. But see how this tiny little time frame, it looks like it's a trend day? Right? That's what's kind of neat about these balance days, is that if you go to a small enough time frame, all the impulse moves are still there, and everything that works on a bigger time frame still works. It's just you got to be a little more nimble. Okay, we break right through this, putting a VPOC above it, but look at how it turned yellow, so it needs a pullback, but it's probably still bullish. Yep, they got below it, triangle up, keeps going. Okay, now they couldn't make a new high, so now it's probably going to chop for a bit. Let's see if we can get another box. Yeah, see how it chops in that area? And see how they only got pink above this now? That is cool. Oh, there's one. Okay. Still more bullish than bearish. I need that level to get tested and bounce. There we go. If you didn't want to take it because it's another box, you'd have to wait at least for a triangle up. I don't like that I have resistance here. So maybe waiting for the pullback makes more sense. Although that is a pullback. What does it do? Yeah, it gets stuck at resistance. Okay, so this, what I'm finding is that this setup in particular is very sensitive to location. And note that when you get under it with just a purple bar and then you hold it, this might break out. Yeah. Yep. Okay. So if you have resistance, if I have resistance, what I need to do, if I see this, and I've got resistance above me, and it's not bullish enough to chase momentum, right? It's like sideways. Rather than taking the triangle, because the triangle is going to get me long up here right into resistance, instead I want to see a pullback, and I want to see this level get defended and take the apex trap, more or less. See that? So this apex trap, especially on a star, becomes really good because as long as they only put a purple bar below the low of the boxes, any box, the lowest box needs to hold with no VPOC below it on a bearish bar that's not purple. Since they couldn't do that, we know it's not squeezing lower, and since the bigger time frame is, well, since if you back up a little bit, we're trading higher highs, higher lows, it is eventually probably going to resolve higher. So it looks to me like the concept works. It's just a matter of getting the particulars for the entry correct. It is a little complex. Okay. Oh, there's one. Whoops. Okay, it's been bullish, right? So if it goes and then pulls back and gives me an opportunity to get long again, I should probably just go ahead and take it. Although it's not super momentum, right? There's not a lot of momentum. Look at how the radar center has started to flatten out. So this might be a good opportunity for a reversal. Let's see if it sets up. Purple bar, we need a bearish bar. There. Confirmed bearish, but we're already so far away. I would need this pullback like we've seen happen before, and I don't know if I get it. Yeah, see, that is very tempting. And I don't know whether or not I can take that or not because it's not super bearish. See, yeah, that's not a good idea. And now if this holds, or if they test above it and fail with a star or something, it's probably a pretty good short. See, this area is going to be resistance. Wow. Right here. They need to reject it now. They don't. So if you were aggressive, you got owned. If you waited here, you didn't have a signal. If a star would have been here, I would have gotten owned again, probably. It just didn't extend past this. So, like, once again, if it doesn't work right away, the next level needs to get you 1-to-1 just to get back to this. The next setup. You can't expect it to break this low unless you've got 1-to-1 to get here. And then you can take runners. We saw that at the higher time frame too. It needs to come all the way back up here and then fail to really give you that big push. Otherwise, you're really just targeting. You're really just targeting the low. And since it was bullish already, we shouldn't really expect that it just suddenly goes bearish. That's just not how markets work. So, okay, so here's one. It's bullish, right? Supernova, a little bit of consolidation. This is usually where they start to move. So you get a pullback, it holds, blue dot. If you want to wait for the triangle, you can, but this probably works. Oh, it fails. It was pink. Okay, cool. So pink, no bull, and it's over. That's good to know. So it's not going to be able to sustain, the low is not going to be able to sustain if you don't get bars that aren't pink during that pullback and takeoff phase. These bars need to not be pink. That actually makes sense. See, when they're pink bull, that level gets defended. When it's pink bear, that level is toast. I don't have any other examples of that right here. But 2 pinks in a row followed by bull is already bullish. That level gets defended for a whole different reason. So if it's box, even if this box isn't here, but this one is, and I get a pullback and I get a pink bar on a dot, I probably don't want to take that trade. I want to wait until I get a bullish bar above and then take the pullback. And instead, I can look for this low to get taken out with a VPOC below it, which happens right here. Oh, but it didn't happen right away. We said usually that doesn't work. Yeah, see, instead you gotta wait for the retrace. And it just chops around. Cool. Yep, not worth taking. I don't really want to participate in that. I'm not interested in that, really. Yeah, I mean, it works, but that's stressful. So, on this tiny little time frame, I'll skip it. Okay. There's one. It's purple. Seems like we're getting a lot of purple and pink ones. When they're not purple and pink, they seem to work quite a bit. When they are purple and pink, they don't work quite as well. Okay, so bullish, right? So really what I want is for it to get above it. It doesn't. It goes down right away. I was just going to drop. Okay, comes back. Did they hold the level? No dot. Nothing bearish. It just, okay, and so it is not above it yet. There we go. Now it has broken it, right? But it didn't do it right away. It came down first, and so this might not squeeze. I don't think that's an entry. Yeah, cool. That's pretty consistent. Pink, bull, right? This should be defended now. So once it's moved away from it and it came back, now it's bullish. That is probably viable. See that? That's a different trade, but it works on literally every time frame. That's a great trade, actually. Okay, solo boxes. I'll do a couple more and then I'll show you the next one. There's literally 3 trades I found recently. 3 different setups. Okay. There's one. Bullish, right? I want it to hold that level, bounce. Rip. It's got to come back. And yeah, so it might not set up. That sucks. It just didn't give me a signal in this time frame. But it, again, if you wanted, since it was so bullish, taking the triangle right away might make sense. Or at least the pullback, even if once you get this triangle. But again, it's pink. It's like, ugh. But then here it's like, oh man, I missed it. Yep. It's almost like they work too well when they do work. Oh, you know what? This is POC over POC. I just don't have it turned on. I didn't realize I had those turned off. That's POC over POC. That would have gotten me long. Cool. I forgot about that. In fact, let me turn those on. Absorption. Sorry, guys. Is it bull and bear absorption? Oh my goodness. It's in here somewhere. Sorry to give you that under the hood look. Okay. I thought I knew what these are called, but oh, there it is. Okay. That is going to give I totally did not realize those were missing. There we go. That's going to give us a ton more opportunities. So you can see I'm not making shit up. The entry here is box, pull back, hold the level, POC over POC. That's a very, very normal, consistent entry I've seen work before. I thought those were on. Oh, whoops. Way too far. Okay, this one, right? It's bullish. Oh, I see. We already have it. It's basically lined right up with that one. So it's bullish, but it's on a pullback, right? And yeah, well off the lows, right there. So we want this level to hold, and it doesn't right away. And so that is the squeeze signal. Now I want to pull back to short. Oh, it's already the second dot. It's probably not going to give me it. Yep. Just had to be really aggressive. If you saw this as bearish on a higher time frame, good job. You just short it, right? And again, it's not, see how the actual box bar is not pink. And the trade just is cleaner that way. It doesn't mean it's more likely to go up. It's just it's more likely to set up in one way or another. There's two of them. Okay, so that one's right in between two other ones. Okay, so my guess right now, if this is like it's acting as resistance, it's really bullish, but I don't know if I want to be aggressive here. But let's just see if it even sets up, hits it. Oh, and then they give you this one. So now whichever one we beat is probably where they're gonna squeeze. Oh, they come back and give us POC over POC. I'm pretty sure you can just buy that. That's I don't know. Yep, that's what I thought. I was like, yeah, that I've seen that work before. Box, pullback, POC over POC. I don't like that the dot didn't come down here, but it's just too bullish to expect it to. So you got to take it a little bit aggressively to participate in those momentum moves. If it wasn't moving that fast, that directional, if the direction wasn't so obvious, I would say wait for a bigger pullback. Okay, like this direction not so obvious, right? So wait. Oh, they might just take it out. That'd be perfect. There we go. Got underneath the low with POC on a bearish bar. You had the yellow dot. It's probably just a short. Oops. Let's see if they give us a pullback for a better entry. But on this time frame, it seems like they don't very often. Yeah, so it would be right here. Right back into it. See that? The wick comes back to it. Boom. X short. And then POC under POC. Oh, no, that one does not work. So this is too late. Once it's wiggled, it's too late. It's just got to be evacuation. I forgot. Now they've come back to it. Now this might work, right? We've seen this get tested before and then roll over. Yeah. Cool. So if the evacuation works and you get consolidation and a pullback and then rejection with the star, and again you can see that we're trading underneath a blue dot, right? We've gotten under blue dots and we're holding the yellow dots. Now we didn't hold this one, so if you weren't sure, you'd wait until that one gets taken out and be able to participate probably here. Oh, there's one. It's purple. Might not be pretty. It's also very small. Pulls back, doesn't hold, gets behind it right there. It's already bullish right here. We just need a sign of aggression. There, the blue dot. It's gross though. It's right into resistance. I don't like it, but it works. And there's your POC over POC that probably works as well. Yeah, that's freaking tough, but it does work. I just have to build my confidence that it's going to work more often than not. It seems like this actually works better on the smaller time frame, which is fascinating. Oh, actually, that makes sense. The higher time, because I'm looking at today and yesterday, it looks like, and the higher time frame is balanced, and the smaller time frame is going to get more impulse moves. So this will work fantastically well, I bet, when we have volatile markets, and that's why it's working on the smaller time frame and not the bigger time frame. Okay, here's a purple one. It's neat when they all work. All right, now this one it put a purple bar below it, but nothing else, and now it's starting to bounce the POC over POC. It's not bullish yet. It's got to break above this. If this was a blue dot, a blue box, I'd say buy it. Oh wait, this is a blue box. This is a blue box. Okay, so I need another pullback. Yeah, this is interesting. I don't usually see this in the higher time frame, and I have no idea what to do with this. Wait until one of them gets broken, I bet. Well, now it's one of those. There it is. So now we've gotten underneath the blue box. So any pullback, and it's done. It might be done already. There. Now let's see if we can get a rollover. Right there. I would think, oh, it's purple. I hate that. But I would think these POC over POC, or under POC, with a stop up here would work. I don't know though. Might not. Oh, yep, it does. Like I said, I just don't have the confidence, but they do work. Oh, and then look at that. That's pretty. Ooh. Heat. Okay, I think that makes sense. So, questions about that one? I don't even know if anyone's in here. That's okay if they're not. This is really for me more than anything else. That's that one. Setup number 2. Okay, like I said, my little dots. different than Simon's. Okay? What we're looking for my setup with the dots, my favorite setup with the dots, is I want a bar with a dot that has a very small wick, like this, or very small. This one doesn't have it. They're usually purple or pink, but they don't have to be. They work better when they are. Here, very small wick, right? I want to find those, and I want to see them. Okay, so if the direction is clear, like this, the direction is lower on this time frame, right? If you have risk reward, you can actually enter with the trend on that very, very small box with a dot, or very, very small block with a dot, especially if it's purple, as long as you had an aggressive trader at the high like this. Like someone's stuck up here, basically. If there's trap buyers at the highs and you get this, you can get an immediate scalp. It's not a here's one on the bull side. It's not a swing trade. It's just a scalp. So like if you knew you were bullish, here I'll show you left to right how this works. So somewhere down here, you trap a short right here. Aggressive seller, star, gets trapped. You get, oh wait, there's no dot there. We're not doing the boxes anymore. You get a pullback, and then it gets long, right? It gets bullish, right? So now that I know it's bullish, right here, especially when I get pink bar, bull bar, rather than pink bar, bear bar, right? Pink, bull, and I'm above some aggressive seller. Now I just want to buy pink bars with blue dots as long as there's a very small wick. So if any of these have a blue dot, I can just buy them if they're pink or small. But right there, blue dot, small wick, buy. It looks like chasing. It's going to work for 10 points or more a lot. The stop needs to be 20 points from your entry. It's not below the pink bar. Do not do that. Do not put your stop below pink bars, okay? Again, pink bars are bars that form due to sellers pulling their orders off the DOM, off the order book. And then like illiquidity causes price to rise. You do not want to put your stop right underneath that wick. It's going to get tagged like this and this all the time. Instead, that's actually a really good spot to fish. if like this, right? You just throw limit orders down there. I like putting it on the POC, that little dash. And if I get filled here, that's an easy scalp, right? Where your stop does belong is about for NQ, it's about 20 points below that high, give or take. So if that high is 41, let's say 42, right? It's got to go at 22. So your stop can go. That's seems awfully big, but that's your proper placement for your stop is 20 points below it. Do you actually need that stop? Probably not, right? Oftentimes you have some sort of anchor, and as long as it's underneath that anchor that's not pink, it's probably fine. Especially if there was a pink bar before it and they tried to re-auction it and they couldn't. See how when it's bullish, if they can't retrace this whole bar, that is a great place to put your stop now once this bar forms. Any entries up here, stop goes down there, you are safe most of the time. By the time that breaks, it's done. Most of the time, you're going to get a really big drop from if you're trading futures. You're going to get a 20-point drop or more, right? So there's really no reason to put it lower than that, but that's really where it belongs, right? Don't put it here, 10 points underneath that high, no matter what time frame you're trading. When you're trading the 24 tick, it's going to be below the bar before it usually. But do not put it at the low of the pink bar. But anyway, if the pink bar is very small wick in particular, and it gets one of my little dots, right? The scalp there is really consistent as long as you're trading with the trend. If you're against the trend, what you want to see is you want to see it get beat. So you can put the line underneath it, and you want to see the yellow line get under it on a bearish bar like this. But you need to see it happen right away. And then you really want to see a triangle down on a purple bar. And that would be the sign that liquidity is drying up. Buyers are pulling their orders off the order book. And the triangle tells you that sellers are following through. So in this case, you have no aggression whatsoever. When it happens, it's probably still bullish. There is what you want to see happen right there. If this would have occurred earlier, I'd say it's a short. When it occurs this late, it's not that it doesn't work, it's just not 60%, but it works here. So, all right, we want small purple or pink bars with a dot. Oh, there's one. Purple bar with a dot and very small wick, if any, right? Is it incredibly bearish? No, not really, right? It's pretty balanced, not super bearish. So if you think it's bearish and you want to be aggressive, you could take it, but you need to put your stop probably back here, right? The better trade is to wait for the bull to beat it with that pink bar triangle up, which is the opposite of the purple bar triangle up. But, do I hate selling this? No, it's just realize that you might only get to support, which is like right here. That might be the end of it. And I think it is. Okay, so if this would have had a triangle on it, I'd say buy it. But it doesn't, so you don't. Instead, they test it. See how they can get up here, but they can't break this. It's close, but they don't quite do it. So if you would have been aggressive, you're still in the trade, right? You just took a lot of heat. But it looks like it was bearish. It did not break it with the pink bar triangle up. It's got to be pink bar and a white triangle up on the same exact bar. And it's got to happen right away like that. But no triangle, no trade. If anything, seeing this roll over, if I had some aggressive traders here on the DOM, if I had like a star here, or an X or something, I could take the scalp bearish. Oh, there's one. So this is pretty small. The wick is pretty small, right? And it's definitely not super bullish, right? There's a bullish momentum move here, but it's just getting us back to neutral. So I'm kind of hoping this breaks down with a purple triangle down. Nope, so no purple bar, so nothing to do. It probably just chops around. Or it works perfectly and doesn't set me up. Nope. That's too bad. Just no purple. The purple bar was one late. The purple bar was late. It was not on the same bar with the triangle. And it's a very small time frame, so that's probably going to happen a lot, I'm guessing. But we'll just say no trade, nothing lost, nothing gained. Just didn't set up the way I want it. Like I said, it's got to be a dot with a very small wick. Dots without wicks, or a very, very tiny one. Oh, there's one. Right there. Now look, this bar is blue, okay? It basically means, remember, that you are quite extended, and you're probably going to retrace this naturally, but it might still be bearish. This is not the spot to look for a squeeze, generally. It might work, but I don't think it will. So I would say just ignore this one, but let's see if it sets up. So the triangle is not pink. That's no trade. They get their pullback that you expected. Now it probably goes lower, I bet, but... Oh, there's one. Purple bar, no wick, right? Now, it's not blue and it's bearish. You can probably just short that. If they break it with a pink bar triangle up, it's probably going to squeeze. Yeah, see how that just totally falls away? So, did it work to just short this? It did, but look at all the... You have to put your stop here, behind this bar. Oh, it's purple. You'd have to put your stop up here somewhere. And you took a lot of heat. right? Because it's blue and it's normal to get this whole area re-auctioned. So I would rather skip that trade and wait for the next like aggressive trader in here, and then like this, and then be like, okay, I know there's aggressive trader here. I'm gonna short this and put my stop up here, and then or just wait for this one on the purple bar that's not blue, right? And then get the drop. Okay. No dot on those. See, these ones are small, but there's no dot, so it's like doesn't mean you can't do it. It's just not this. I don't have comp. Oh, look, that actually worked as resistance. Cool. That's cool. See, this is a really long wick on a purple bar. And so it's not, and this one too. So the longer these wicks get, the more like contested these bars are, and the more likely you're not going to get these big impulse moves. So even though there's low liquidity on this bar, it's like, it's big, you know? Like there's still someone trading there. It's not just someone giving up. Why I want the small bars that are purple with the dot is because small bar means it wasn't contested much, right? Purple and pink means very low liquidity, buyers or sellers pulling orders from the DOM. And my dots, like I said, are different from Simon's. My dots are identifying like abnormalities in volume, where you've got like, how can I describe it without like telling you how to build it? Because that's not really fair. I've spent countless hours building these. But yeah, it's basically just like volume in a spot where you wouldn't really expect volume. Let's put it that way. And yeah, so when those all occur together, the likelihood of a big directional move is higher. Oh, there. So this is pretty small, right? So if you already knew it was bullish, you could just buy it. How would you know it's bullish? Well, you'd look for the last apex, which is, or the lowest apex, which is here. And you traded above it, right? But in this case, and then you'd have to say that this was the low that you held. So you could say, well, you were supernova and you held this low. And so you might still be bullish. If you didn't see it that way and you're like, nah, this is not that bullish, it's just neutral. Well, then the only trade then is if you break down under this, you could shoot for the low on a triangle down that's purple. Otherwise, it's just neutral and you just don't have a trade. But in this case, it was actually bullish and it works. The cool thing about this trade is if you take the scalp and then it fails with the triangle down, you might lose the first one, but you'll win the second one a lot. So you just have to be quick and nimble about it. And like accept that you might be wrong about direction and not like tilt. And so see, this one is not purple, but it's really small and it's got the dot. So it's not ideal, but it should still work if it sets up. So I'm not going to just auto short it, but if I can beat it with the pink bar triangle up, it's probably going higher. Oh, the VPOC is not above it, but the close is above it. Let's see if this does work. It does not. Nope. So yeah, you need normally what I want is for it to basically immediately happen so that pink bar with the triangle up is up here. I'm pretty sure the VPOC, the little dash, needs to be above the high. Pretty sure. So that's an example of one you wouldn't want to take. That's good to know. Let's see if that's consistent. It's not going to set up like that very often, but pretty sure if you want to be specific, that's, I wonder if that's small enough. This one's pretty small. Again, I'm not just going to short it because it's not purple. Oh, that one's definitely small enough. And it's pink. So you could probably just buy this if you thought it was bullish. That's pretty questionable. But let's see if one of them gets beat by a triangle with pink or purple bar. No, it does just rip. Yep. Oh, oops. That's one. Again, not probably an immediate trade, but if they can beat it with a triangle up that's pink. Now, see, it's way down here, so I'm not touching that. It might work, but nothing. Oh, there's one. So this one you can immediately buy. And see how now it's like it's clearly got some momentum now, right? It's like peeking over it with that blue dot on a pink bar. That is usually sellers giving up. It's capitulation. Usually. See that? And again, if you're wrong, it's going to probably reverse and give you triangle down purple bar, and then you're going to be able to take the short the other direction. It's just a scalp, though. It's not some crazy swing trade. Hold on real quick. Okay. Well, here, let's switch the let's switch. We're on 15 tick. Let's go to 24. And I'll show you. It works here too. This one I've actually been watching for like 2 weeks. The box one, I literally just figured it out yesterday. Okay, so let me back up a bunch till I don't know what day we're at. Okay, here I see one right here. So pink bar, see how it's already got some momentum, right? It's trading above a yellow. Whoops, it's trading above the heck a yellow dot, right? It's clearly pushing. And I get it right here. It looks late, but it probably squeezes. And again, my target's this. Yeah, and I don't know if it gets there or not. Oh, yeah, it does. Okay, so see, this one is not pink, so I'm not going to buy that. But if they beat it with purple bar triangle down, I'll take it. And it's too late now. I need this to be down here. They do just pull the rug, but no setup on this time frame. Not that setup anyway. Oops, there's one. So here again, like they do technically get over it by like a tick with the pink bar triangle up, but not the VPOC. So I'm guessing this probably doesn't work. Oh, it kind of does. Oh, there's one. And that one you've already broken below blue, right? Yep. Almost. Questionable whether or not you want to. I mean, it's been bearish since here. So I'd probably take it. Oh, there's another one right here. Wow, that was beautiful. Now, this is blue, so a little risky, right? You're probably going to get a pretty big pullback, potentially. Still works. Oh, there's one. Is this one bullish? I mean, we've got to close over a yellow dot. Ugh. They seem to be working a lot, but if one's going to fail, I think it'd probably be something like this. Yep. Yeah, because see, we got to close over a yellow dot at this point, but we got all these yellow dots up here, and we haven't gotten VPOC up there until now on a pink bar. So, like, they have to immediately evacuate the building for this to work, and that's a really steep drop. So you're basically asking the market to V back, and that's not usually what you want to do. So now let's see if we get the purple bar triangle down. No. We do get a retest again. Oh, that one doesn't work. Don't do that. And they start to chop. We must be back into this week now because this is what this week's been doing all week. Is just like on this time frame, it's gonna be chop, 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 chop. But like I said, good to know if these work here. They seem to work really well when things are moving, because the smaller time frame was kicking ass. It's not big enough. I mean, it's too big. Now that wick is see how the wick goes below the VPOC of the previous bar? Like, it's just too much. Too contested. I want it to look like this, where it's like tiny. And it needs a dot. Oh, oops, there's one. Again, not pink, unfortunately. The pink bar was early. I don't know. I wonder if you could take it if it's a bar after pink bar, because once you've got the pink bar, I hadn't thought about this, but if the bar before it's pink and it's not, it might still be okay. I'll have to watch for that. That's not, again, something I had not thought about before. Especially on a smaller time frame, I would think that might be the case. I don't know if that's, oh, whoops. I don't know if that's going to work on this higher time. But that, ugh. Again, see how the VPOC here is on the previous bars right here, and it's like at or just beyond the VPOC from the previous bar. This one, probably not one you want to sell. Yeah, so this one gets the triangle up, but it's not pink. So I doubt this squeezes, but you know to get out of that trade. Yeah, they just crush you. No matter what you did there, you just lose. But that's what I'm saying. Like, it looks to me like you actually need the low to be below the VPOC of the previous bar. That's actually not that hard to program. I might actually program, if that's what it is, I might just program it in. I hadn't even thought about doing it that way. I was just thinking small bars. See, like this, pink, pink bar, and then it's beyond a pink bar. That little, it's got a small wick. I don't know how to, I guess I just have to pick a number. And then it's way above the VPOC of the previous bar, so it's squeezing. And look at that. Right? So the volume here doesn't, like, it's not what you would expect in a move like this. And so when you have volume in spots where you don't expect, like, that's noteworthy. And look, that's the first one. See, this is the apex, the little flag. That's the first one. This is the second one. This is the second dot. And that's usually still not too late to chase. See that? The third one, don't do it. You might get 10 points, but a lot of times you won't. So this one might work. Pretty small wick. VPOC is way up here. Can you sell that? Yes. Beautiful. Cool. Awesome. Yeah, you could just, even if you don't have the reversal, because the reversal doesn't seem to set up all that often, but just the continuation trade seems to set up pretty good. It has failed a few times, but I usually know why they fail. And that's what I want. I want a setup where I can pretty much trust that if it fails, I know why and I know what to do. Whoops, here's one. VPOC's way down here on the previous bar. This bar's got a small wick. It's pink. It goes. And it's got a dot. Yeah, cool. See, when you get them on the bars with the really long wicks that are also pink, like, that move is not a sign of strength for bulls. It's like, even though there's no liquidity, yet look how much sellers contested it, right? And they needed a ton of volume. And that doesn't make sense. Well, it does if they're fighting. It doesn't make sense if you think it's going to go straight up. I shouldn't say they need a ton of volume. It's actually not the amount of volume. It's where the volume is. The dots can show up on very low volume bars. Oh, there's one. So this one is after a purple bar. Can we just short it? Oh, shoot. The wick high is higher than the previous VPOC. It's not going to work. Oh, it does work. On a pullback. Okay. Oh, wow. It really works. Interesting. Oh, there's one. But it's blue. Probably needs a pullback. Yeah. Yeah, that seems really dangerous if it's blue. I'm just not going to do it at all. I mean, I wouldn't take momentum trades if it's blue. Like, I know that means it's extended. So that's a good example of one of those spots where it's like, wow, they almost always fail when that happens. So that's an easy filter. Because I think I've seen that work once out of like 6 times. So on like 2 different time frames. And like I said, that's why I do this. Because it's either do this, you guys, or else lose money trading it wrong. I'd rather do this for free, even though it might seem boring. Okay, so this is 2 after a purple. Purple, blue bar. Yeah, this, I don't think I would short that. Yeah, this, and then this one too. After a blue bar, that's pretty dangerous. It works, but... And does this one work after a pullback? Ugh. Look at where you have to put your stop. It does work, but that's gross. It does work. After a pullback, if you put your stop in the right spot, it does work. Okay, here's one. purple, bearish, right? That's usually bearish, but we're not at the apex, right? And we're right into support. So now we see pink bar with a white triangle up. That is a long. Kaboom. And it's usually defended for a second move. Ta-da! Cool, right? I don't know. I think that's kind of neat. That one, it does not show up often, but I'm telling you, it works. I think I've seen it fail once on the 24 tick in the last 2 weeks. Okay, so there's one here to go short. Remember, this is purple, so usually that's just good to just short it, unless you've got a reason not to. It's not behind, the wick is not behind the VPOC to the behind it, right? We have purple bear. That's bearish. We've broken below blue. I have no reason not to short this. I think I can just short the breakdown. Yep. Wait for the pullback if you want. Get another ride. Look at that. I mean, if all I did was this all day long, I'd probably pass. If I bought an apex evaluation tonight, I'd probably pass the apex valuation within 3 weeks. That might even be. I mean, it depends how many contracts you want to take, I guess. But I'm saying trading 2 contracts. Yeah, you could probably do it faster than that. Okay, so here's one, but it's not purple. It's 2 after the purple. It doesn't get beat, does it? No. Nothing to do. That's too bad. So, yeah, it definitely seems to work better when it's purple or pink. Oh, pink, small wick, purple bar, triangle, down, short. See ya. Cool. That's pretty neat. Okay. All right, this one's definitely sticking. All right. Pretty sure this is today. I recognize. I trade the 24 ticks, so unfortunately I recognize this. And I know it only showed up. Yeah, it only showed up that once, and that was at the open. Unfortunately, here I'll show you. I remember that trade. Yep. I missed this. I did not take this. I didn't take this trade because I saw it, but it triggered literally like moments before the open, and I'm like, oh, I think that's a short. And I'm like, oh wait, it's the open. I can't do that. And then it's just like gone. I'm like, oh, that was a rough way to start the day. But at least it wasn't long. But right when I saw it, I'm like, oh yeah, I remember this. That was a rough way to see. It's hard to see a trade you've been watching for go, and like you choose not to take it on purpose, and then it does exactly what you thought it was going to do, and it's just like, don't tilt. Now, interestingly, the small pink bars that don't have dots that are beat by purple triangle down sometimes still give the capitulation scalp. So there may be another way, but look, like here's one that doesn't work, right? Little wick, but no dot, purple triangle down, absolutely decimated if you shorted that. So if you want to be more consistent, which I do, and I friggin' hate stops. They're so annoying. You obviously can't avoid them all, but if I could filter out most of them that way, I will happily do it. But like here, this one's small and pink. Oh, it doesn't quite reach. I was saying, I think this one might work, but it doesn't quite reach. So that is, this one right here. Nope, doesn't reach. So there may be another way to filter them out, but this way seems to work pretty good. All right, questions on that? Hopefully not, because I got one more I want to do. This next one is very experimental, and it's almost embarrassing how little I know about this next one, but I'd really like to learn about it because if it works, it'd be really helpful. But I think I need to do a little bit more work on it. So I need to switch to the other view. So we're going to go to the more busy view, unfortunately, because we need some extra signals here. I'm going to turn off the drawings. And what we're going to look for are outlines that are green and outlines that are green and outlines that are red. So these are the red ones, red outline of the bar. and then the green outlines of the bars like this. It doesn't matter what's inside of them. It's just the outline that we're looking at, okay? Green and red. So these are my own signal. This is actually one of the very first signals I built. I've got if you look like, I don't know, maybe a year ago, 18 months ago, like one of the very first streams. Maybe it's actually a video. I don't even think it's a stream. I did a video about trapped traders like a year ago. And I only had like three signals. And this is one of the first ones I built. And I really haven't changed it much. And I've almost deleted it. I've almost removed it like 6 times because I keep like forgetting how to use it. And then I take it out and then I miss it. And I'm like, oh, it's set up there. And I would have known not to take that trade if I would have had those signals. So I keep putting them back. But the truth is that I don't use them very often. And so I've been trying to look for new ways to use them just to try to decide whether or not I really even want them on my chart. Because I've already got a lot of signals on my chart. And if I don't need it, I shouldn't really use it. But like I said, every time I take them off, when I go back to review and I turn everything on to see if there was something I could have missed, that I might have missed, it's consistently showing up as something that can like keep me out of trouble. So what I realized is I was like, okay, maybe they're not great. Maybe they're not sophisticated enough yet to be a signal, but they might be part of a signal. Like I might want to take them off, but turn the same conditions into a new signal basically, and like combine it with other things. The 2 ways I see them helping me. Actually, before I do that, let me take a quick break. I'm out of water and I'm feeling kind of hoarse, and this one takes a little bit of explaining. So I will be right back. And here, I'll leave you some music, and I will run and get a drink. Hopefully this is good. I don't even know. I'm just finding stuff on SoundCloud. Let me just see. We'll just leave this on. I have no idea what it is. Enjoy. I'll be right back. All right. I'm back. So let's come back here. So, like I said, red outline, green outline. What this is showing, it's a very old, simple signal, okay? Not sophisticated. But they do seem important. If it is red, what it is saying is that there are buyers stuck like in this bar. And when I say stuck, I mean like a buyer on a smaller time frame than the one we're looking at aggressively tried to buy or did buy the buy somewhere in the bar, yet we close lower, right? The green ones are exactly the opposite. Green outline, we've got a seller who executed rather like on the breakdown, yet the bar like aggressively, but the on a smaller time frame, but the bar closed higher. So if you look at this on a smaller time frame, what you're going to see, this is very obvious on the footprint, but what you're going to see, even if you just do it this way, is here I have a 24 tick and here I have a 15 tick, right? So if I go to this low, and again this low is 1925, right? If I go to this low on the smaller time frame, what we're going to see is an aggressive trader show up here, a star, and then he's going to get stuck. See that? He gets stuck. And when traders get stuck, what generally happens if they're not trading with momentum is they're going to get squeezed out. They don't want to be stuck. They don't want to be hurting very long. That's usually how the markets move is traders get stuck, then traders exit, joining the team that's winning, right? And the team that's winning continues to win. So when we, if we were bullish here and you get a star at the bottom and then a breakout, what you'll generally get is an immediate continuation, right? Because that guy's stuck and he knows it, and now he's going to squeeze out, which pushes the market higher. But when you're bearish, traders don't really mind being so like a little stuck on a small time frame as long as they are trading under resistance, because they might have gotten aggressively short here, but they know that as long as the market doesn't trade above this, the way they people think technically is as long as the market doesn't go back up and auction higher, I can just hold this and it'll eventually rotate lower, right? So what we should expect is that when it's bearish, red outline bars will red outline bars will create triangle down after them, or at least a bar or more to the downside. But also often you'll get actually the triangle showing us that like sellers are actually continuing to push the market because again, if it's bearish, buyers got stuck up here, and those sellers are actually the same buyers who got stuck. So they bought up here, someone aggressively sold, and then those buyers become sellers as they break down, right? So that's why you get red bar, triangle down, red triangle down during when it's bearish, right? So seeing this is usually a bearish signal. You can see it here too, right? It does not mean it's going to immediately drop though. It can come all the way back and test back here, but usually these highs hold because they're trapped, right? Those buyers are trapped. When it's bearish and you get a green one and the seller executes on a smaller time frame way at the low, what you often will get is that bar after closing bullish immediately closes bearish on the very next bar, and then the low breaks, right? Because the buyers, even though they technically trapped sellers on a smaller time frame here, right, they didn't have any follow through because those sellers never gave up. So you didn't get the triangle up. Instead, you get some sort of bearish bar and then a breakdown. So that's the pattern that you should expect. And the way I've used it in the past is when I think it's bearish, I don't necessarily use them to enter on, but when I see them, when I think it's bearish, I expect to see this pattern where red bars are followed by triangle down, or at least more bearish bars, and green bars are followed by more bearish bars. When that changes, I take notice. So watch, we're just going to go step by step. Here, I'll cover this one up so we don't get confused. So, and then I'm going to erase all the lines. So we know it's bearish right here, and then we get confirmation here and confirmation here, right? Red bars getting continuation signs, triangles. Green bars getting reversal signs, bearish bars. Especially with that abnormal volume dot showing up even more bearish, right? So if I had any doubt that it was bearish, that just increases my confidence, right? Once again, green outline, bearish bar, yellow dot, probably still bearish. Eventually this is going to change. Okay, green green bar, not a bearish bar, a white triangle up. That is what usually happens when it's bullish, because now the sellers who sold down here are participating on the bull side, right? They're exiting their sell trades and entering buy trades, and that is the opposite that what I would expect from when it's bearish. Now that might not be enough to enter a trade though. You can still get green bar, green outline, triangle up, and then still have it fail, particularly if you've had a lot of dots here. We talked about this with an earlier setup, and because this, so we saw this, it was the exact same spot or something similar, where you have all these dots aligned, which should be able to be broken pretty easily if it's if it's bullish. But then what I believe happens here, if I'm right about this, is it actually rejects. Or at least they try. Well, they try, and they fail. Okay, so like I said, if they can break these, then it really is bullish. But as you can see, it does not necessarily immediately squeeze up, right? This could have broken on down. The reason why I believe this continued, assuming this does continue. Oh, it doesn't. Nice. Okay, so what I was going to say is when these do continue higher, in this case, it probably got stuck at a location. Nope. I don't know. Just, was that a... Oh, it is. Yeah, I didn't see it, but this is an anomaly. So here it got stuck at a location, but what you're usually going to see is these yellow volume anomalies, the weird volume showing up in like the funny place, all I'm going to say about that. If you can get a bar that's not pink to print above them and close bullish, so right there, usually the next time it pulls back, if it then gives you the green outline followed by triangle up, usually then it's actually bullish. If you get this, break over the yellow dot, close over the yellow dot, beat the yellow dot basically with the bar that's not pink, pull back, and then bounce, it's usually good. Here, you just don't bounce, so there's nothing lost. It's just, it looked bullish, but it was just a complex pullback, and then it goes back down again. Most likely, if we see a red outline, we're gonna get continuation lower. Now, instead we get a green outline, triangle up, right? What you usually see in bull situations. But look, the very closest yellow dot is way up here. So that bull situation, the only reason why sellers are exiting here, if they got trapped, is because they think that price is coming back up to here. And so once they get up there, they're probably going to reject it. Probably. I could be totally wrong, but usually that's what happens. And they get there, and they reject it. So see how the yellow dots, the volume being in like the wrong place on the footprint, is acting as resistance because it's bearish. And so even though we get the follow through from the green, we get the what we usually see in bullish markets, the green bars being followed through by white triangles, it's not a reversal yet, right? What we would need to see is to get over that, close over it with a VPOC above it on a bar that's not pink, and then pull back and then see this signal, right? So let's find another one. Okay, green, right? We assume it's bearish still, right? So if they just get beat by a bearish bar, it can just keep going lower. Okay, gets beat by a bearish bar, but it is blue, right? So it's getting a little bit overextended. Probably not a good idea just to short it, but it probably is going lower. It's just pretty dangerous. Okay, so look, the dot is here, right? The lowest dot is there. We now have a green bar followed by a triangle up, something you see only when it's bullish or reverting back to a resistance. The VPOC has not quite gotten over the yellow dot. So here, in my opinion, that's not quite good enough to long. Now we've gotten above it, but it's a pink bar, so we need a bullish bar that's not pink. There we go. Bullish bar that's not pink. Now, I'm personally not going to buy that right away. I don't like being the last one entering a trade and then having it totally rip me apart. It's just not fun. So instead, I'm now going to wait for this same signal to show up again down here. And I don't know if it will. It might not. But if it does, I'll take it. Okay, so now we got red, triangle down, right? We know that in bearish markets, that's what it does. That could be a problem for our plan, right? It depends on whether or not I can target this area, because remember, that means that there's a buyer stuck up there. So it might not go any higher than that. The other problem, we've got a blue dot, which is the opposite of the yellow dot. And we've gotten a bearish close with a VPOC below it, and it's not purple. It's probably bearish. So it might just be chopping, right? And we'll get a bull down here and a bear up here. But I'm not thrilled about looking for a bull trade here. And it probably won't set up. Okay, we get the green inside and the triangle up. But not the green, not the setup we wanted. Something else. This would have worked, but not the one we're talking about. But notice how this is having a hard time getting beat. And even if you put a line on the most recent yellow dot, although you get over it, right? Meaning that like you can look for the setup to show up, we don't get any more green bars. Why? Because we're not trapping any sellers. There it is. So we've gotten above a yellow dot. We've come back, gotten green outline, white triangle up. This one should work. Ta-da! So that's the way I think I need to use it. And like I said, there might be a better way to program this so that I don't have to think about it so much. But that seems to be the key. Is first basically get above a yellow dot, right? Then see the setup, green followed by white triangle up immediately. It's got to be the very next bar. And as long as you have broken up above one of these, then there is a relatively good chance that you've actually trapped a seller. It's even better if it's at location like this. See how it's green triangle up? Even if you miss that, you now know that area is getting... you got trapped sellers down here. So if it shows up again there, that's what you want. All right. So now the interesting thing here is you could also, because it's chopping on this time frame, you could technically get the exact opposite signal to show up too, because you got red triangle down, right? And all I would have had to do is before that I would have had to get underneath a blue dot, right? So these ones obviously you did not get underneath, so you wouldn't really be ready to take this one, right? But you did get underneath one here and here, right? So as long as those hold, which they do, see, we don't break above them. This is still in the right location, right? Underneath the blue dot, and it's bearish, so you're with the trend, that you could probably take that short. As long as you're only targeting the next support, right? Okay, so let me find the next one. The hard part about this is you kind of have to think ahead, because by the time you've seen the signal, you have to know whether or not you're trading above a yellow or below a blue, right? So like here, you're trading above a yellow, right? I mean here, you were trading above a yellow, in fact. So had it set up here, I would have taken it, right? Once it's done it just has to hold this low. So it took it out at this low. It just has to not break down, and then it's good, right? So basically, get a supernova, more or less, and then pull back and get green outline triangle up. If you're in the room, that'll make sense. Okay, now look, it's bullish, right? We are trading above yellow dots. Here's one right here. We've clearly cleared it, right? And if you look at where that low is, or if you look at where that level is, you're trading above it. We got green, right? Green outline. Next bar, triangle up. It's bullish. You can take it. Now, that one didn't work. It's probably trading into a level. Yeah, that's too bad. It peaked up above this and then hit this value area high or low, whatever that is, and rejected. So usually that's going to still work, but it works way better at support than it does as a momentum trade. In fact, once you've traded behind the green bars, so now if we break down underneath this, it's almost always bearish. In the same sense, since you had a red bar here, once you've traded above it, so here, it's almost always bullish. So if you don't want to buy it, but if then you get a pullback and wherever you have, so the easiest way to do this, I'll give you a hint. I'll throw you a bone. So look at this. You've got consolidation here, right? Draw the volume profile, beginning with where it started to consolidate. So this is all down, 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 down. And it started to consolidate on this up bar, right? And then it broke out of the consolidation, I'd say, right here, right? So before that, if not all the way to where you're trading, if you didn't want to count this, you can do the whole thing. Doesn't matter. That's your line. That's your VPOC of that entire thing, right? Here. So as long as the low volume nodes that are that are in that consolidation zone, as long as the low volume nodes and the high volume edges are holding to the side that you're trading, you can expect once you've traded above a red bar, which is again here, you traded above the red bar here on a bar that's not pink, because the pink bars and purple bars are low liquidity basically. Once you've done that, as long as you hold a high volume edge, think about it that way, which is a little hard to see. Let me just change this. This one. There we go. Now I can see it. So see how there's like a big high volume edge here? Right? And a big high volume edge here. So as long as you have one of those, literally one of them, underneath you, so like this, any of those, this, right? Those are your supports. So as long as you're holding some of those and you haven't just totally ran through them all, like let's just pick that one for instance. Once you've traded above the red bar, the bar that's not pink, and it's pulling back and it's not breaking this, and instead you get an aggressive trader like a star or a triangle up or anything really, bouncing off of that low volume area, right, above the high volume edge, right? So this is the VPOC, and the edge comes right up to here, and then there's a low volume node, like a little anomaly, and then there's more volume, and then a low volume node, anomaly right here, and then high volume, right? So now our only task is to get beyond this, and we're good to go. So if you want to be really sure, wait till you're about all of them, and just buy that, right? But then you got to remember, you got to put your stop under the apex, and on some time frames that's going to be fine. On other time frames that's not. But that's only like a 20, 23, something like that point stop. So I mean it's not horrible. But personally, I can get long here because we are clearly above the volume, a high volume edge above the VPOC, and that one of them above the VPOC is pretty much all you need, and that's usually all you get. It doesn't usually hang out here very often. They get trapped down here and it runs, right? But like I said, an easy way to see that without having to draw the volume profile every time is see this big volume spike right here? That's the buyers getting trapped and what creates the red bar, basically. Way up here. They're getting trapped way at the high, right? And so as long as they're trapped, it's bearish. But if we can put a bar that closes with the VPOC above that, well, they're not trapped anymore. right? If they were, they got a chance to get out. And then if they want to get out, it'll just do that, right? So instead, if you see it come down after that and bounce aggressively, well, it's probably going higher. Okay, so that's why that works. And like I said, normally you could do the same thing up here. It's just more aggressive the further you get away from the VPOC. So if you think this is still consolidation, still support, you can just keep stretching it out, right? And say, well, the VPOC's still down there, right? Now what about when you add the actual bar itself? Yeah, VPOC's still down here. We're still holding this low volume, this high volume edge, the low volume node and the high volume edge. The problem is now you're way up here, and you really don't want to have to put your stop down here, right? So you'd have to say, the only way I could really get long up here is if I have a high volume edge, I can put my stop behind. Well, the only high volume edge I see is right here on the voodoo range level. Kind of cool. And that's like at 20, and you'd be getting long probably at the triangle up. That's way too big for me. That's like a 50-point stop. That's impossible, right? So the only thing you can do is put your stop here. But if you find yourself doing that, and then you're looking at the big picture and you're like, oh, hold on, there's nothing here, right? Look at the difference, right? All of the heavy contested area is down here. So the only reason you even got this move is because of these trap shorts down here. That's the only reason you got this move. It doesn't mean it can't continue, but it basically means that a lot of the times it's going to come back here and fill this in. And as a result, the VPOC's going to shift up, and you're going to get another chance to get in anyway. So let's see if that actually happens. Yeah, so look, here's the next high volume edge. See how they can't get VPOC below it? This is a way better entry, if not here. Way better entry. Once you know you're above that VPOC, that high volume edge, way better entry than this. The problem now is you're trading underneath a trap seller, so you have to really believe that these trap sellers are still going to help you push out, and you really would only know that from the higher time frame. So if you had a higher time frame reason to think that they're really trapped, that's a great entry. If you have no reason to think they're really trapped, like, it's probably only going to come back to here because they're not trapped anymore. So it'll come back up to here and it'll reject. I don't know what it does this time. Yeah, it doesn't do it. Okay, so instead, once you trade it under a green outline bar, you can just stop buying and save yourself a bunch of stops, because, like I said, that you shouldn't trade under them when it's bullish, yet we put one way up here, right? So another way I can use those is just like, let me just get rid of this. Just like with the red one, I knew once we got over this with a VPOC, on a bar that closed bullish and it's not pink, I knew that those guys, those buyers were released, right? Even if it comes back down here, the momentum is to the upside. Well, once we get underneath this guy, those sellers that got trapped up there are released right there. So even if it goes under it, once it gets back up to that area, there's nobody trapped. It's just going to reverse, or it could, right? So now, again, if you look even closer, you'd have another reason not to buy, and that is you got a red bar followed by a triangle down, which we know is what happens when it's bearish. What does that mean? There's buyers stuck at the high of that wick, right? It doesn't mean you can't buy, but you shouldn't be expecting it to go any higher than that, at least not right away. And so my rule is, once I've gotten one of those, I need to get above a yellow dot. Well, where's my yellow dots? Well, I had one here, we didn't get above it. I had one here, we didn't close a VPOC above it. I got one here, we haven't closed a VPOC above it. There's nothing to do. If I'm only longing, there's nothing to do. I get another green bar, but the very next bar is bearish, and it's got a yellow dot. Am I bullish? No, they're just going to take that out most of the time, and they do, right? So there's short setups here, but there's no long setups, and it's kind of easier to do this one way at a time. So, but realize on a bigger picture, we still have not released these shorts that are stuck here, or these, right? There are still stuck shorts in these wicks. When we come back to them, it bounces. If you remember where the VPOC was, it was right there for the consolidation zone. Look at that. It's right there. Yes, look at it.
So that, if you know how to draw the volume profile in the consolidation zone, you don't need to chase, right? You can just take your trades when it sets up in the spot that you actually know you've got someone trapped nearby. Because the problem with buying it up here is really the right spot for your stop is down here, right? And that's in futures that's just impossible. So instead, you have to forego the big the huge extensions that sometimes we get on NQ, and instead accept that you're going to miss them because you don't have a great way to manage risk when that happens. And instead just say, hey, if it comes back here and it bounces out that VPOC, I can put my stop down here. I can, if anything, buy some calls here and just see if it ends up working, right? Like, that's way better, in my opinion, than trying to buy, two contracts here, getting stopped out, and then being down, and then being like, well, maybe I'll short, and then and then you get all confused, and maybe you decide to, short, down here, and then you get stopped, and it's a mess. So rather than doing that, have the location that you want to be, identify the consolidation as an area that we've left, and then when we get back to it, look for aggression to follow in, right? Now look what they do when they put in the green bar. Green outline, triangle up. Unlike here, green outline, bearish bar, right? So sellers got trapped at that low, and they followed through with buying. So there's a chance that they're stuck. Can I get long here? Unfortunately not, because I've not traded above a yellow dot. We're right on it, but the rules are I can't do it, right? Because of the weird volume anomaly here, there's a relatively strong chance that we trade right here and then reverse, and I'm literally buying the top. But I could have participated here, because then I can take my profit and hold runners through that. That's fine, right? If I've got a bigger picture to do it. If I got a bigger picture reason to do it, like a VPOC there from consolidation zone, totally cool. I'm probably doing it with calls, because usually you don't get this small of a... this one worked beautifully. The VPOC's way at the low. See that? The VPOC here is so close to the low that you can probably take this with futures. Normally, that VPOC's in the middle. And you can't... take it with futures. You'd have to take it with micros. But what you'll see here is... See how they're struggling? See how they're struggling to break through this? It's because of this dot. There's also a voodoo range level there, but, that's something else. That has nothing to do with the dots. So, but see how it looked bullish, right? They trapped him here, and they pushed. The sellers gave up, and sellers then said, nope, we're not going to let this go anywhere. What did we get? We got another green bar, right? That was immediately followed by a bearish bar. That is a bad sign. If you're long, that's a bad sign. You don't want to see that. And if you trade under it, you know you want to be out of your trade. Once you get a VPOC below that on a bearish bar, you know you're out. So that doesn't happen yet. Right there. You know you're out. That was also a red outline followed by a triangle down. If you're bearish, that's a short. As long as you're trading underneath the blue dot, which I have right here. Right? Blue dot, got VPOC below it. So if you're going both directions, you can short that. And then it probably dumps. Okay, green. This next one does not have a triangle. I'm not usually doing anything with that. I'm also not above a yellow dot. But look, we did put a yellow dot up here. Okay, so I need to get VPOC above this. Unless I just want to put my stop at the low, which is, again, fine. But not with futures, because that's 35, 40 points, depending on where I'm getting long. That's too many for futures. But if you want to buy calls here, I think that's fine. But I'm not going to do it with futures. But now that nope, doesn't get above it. See, it gets VPOC above it, and it closes bearish. Red outline. If it's triangle down, it's just another short. Yeah, it's just more bearishness. Oh, interesting. Are we gonna? Oh, we're gonna come back and re-auction this because they're mean. Yep, look at that. They come back up. They re-auction. Now, did they get a VPOC above a yellow dot? They did. They got a VPOC on a bullish bar that's not pink above a yellow dot. Now, if we get green outline followed by triangle up like this, if we get it down here, I can buy it this time. It might not set up because we got red triangle down. That's bearish. It's probably just going to take out the low. There's really no reason to be long yet. And it just doesn't set up. And that's what happens 80% of the time, right? It's bearish, they just rip it right down. When it does set up, it usually works. When it doesn't set up, you know it's not bullish, right? So once you've gotten underneath this guy, if you have those calls, you're probably done with it. Because there's really no reason why they should be putting VPOCs below trapped sellers if it's bullish, right? Like if this bounced because of this VPOC still having trapped sellers, we're not going to get under it. And if this bounced because of the VPOC, which I think it did, and they had trapped sellers under it, then we shouldn't get VPOCs under this. Well, they do. And so now it's toast. And that wall is done. And any retrace to that area is probably sellable. Now we got, this is interesting, red, followed by triangle down, and another red bar. And then that red bar got a green bar. So they peaked underneath that low, and now they're finding buyers. We know this is where shorts tend to get stopped, right? My coach, Simon, loves these setups. And if this next bar is pink, he'll just take the long. I'm personally not that aggressive, but it probably works because of the location. Instead, I need to get above this yellow dot. There's the pink bar. Simon's long here. Like 99% of the time. And he's usually right. Now, I know it's bullish here. I have confirmation that I've gotten above a yellow dot. And now pullbacks that produce the same exact setup, I'll take. Whereas Simon's like taking profits, right? Which is great, but it doesn't always work, right? Sometimes he's got to put a stop down here, and sometimes he gets stopped out before it goes. There. So, no, I didn't get the triangle up, so nothing. And now I'm probably going to trade under the green bar, and it's not going to set up. We'll see. Oh, maybe it does set up. Triangle up. Ugh. It's not above. I don't know if I can take that or not. I think I can. I think I can take that. I actually don't know if I can take that after this. That's interesting. Let's see if this works. I don't know if that works. Yeah, I was gonna say, I think it needs to be right after it. It needs to be the very next bar. Green, triangle up, and then it can go. If it gives me the bear, then I'm pretty sure I got to get up above a green. I think I got to start over the whole process. Get above a yellow dot, then get green bar followed by a triangle up. Again, you could do the same process here if you thought this was another consolidation. You could do the same exact process we did before and measure that, right? And then you find the VPOC is this pink line. And if I change the color so you can actually see it, you'll see that they don't really have any other high volume. I can see it a little bit, but I don't think there's any high volume edges. Anyway, I have it dark so that I don't get distracted by them. Because like I said, I got the signals to tell me what to do. So the only high volume edge is here, right? And that one's clearly not being held. And then you've got the VPOC. So that might hold. But there's nothing else really. Like this is all, there's no defense here. And then all the volume is down here, right? So it's like a B profile with a little with trap buyers at the top. It's not pretty. If you're shorting, it's excellent. But if you're hoping to buy, like this low has to hold. And it doesn't. Yeah, I'm not surprised. And so again, like Simon gets his 10 points, he holds a runner and it stops, and he's fine with that, right? He might lose like 3 points on the trade overall, and sometimes he makes 100, right? And I just get no trade, and I'm okay with that too. It's just two totally different ways to view the same exact information. And like I said, for me, I would rather skip the small loss and also miss the low, because I know that most of the time when it sets up the way I want, it's gonna work. And I would rather avoid the stop. So look, we get a green outline followed by not a triangle up, basically. It's probably still bearish. And again, it's purple and it's got an X. Like and it's got a dot. Like if you're aggressive, you can just short that because it's already bearish. Okay, I have to we got the green outline followed by triangle up, but we're not above a yellow dot yet. I got to get above this before I take that trade. So this is basically just like it's too aggressive for me to take because my target's this. And so like the risk reward's just not good enough. They get it up there. See how they reject it? As soon as they put any contracts up here, they reject it. So I would rather short this than buy this, personally. Not saying it works, but I would rather be the one shorting it than buying it. Yeah, see. Again, is it a great idea to short the low? Probably not. But if you get this many tests of this and they just can't get any volume above it without closing bars to the downside, like one of these is going to work, right? You might have to try twice, but or maybe even three times. But eventually, if you keep hammering at it, I shouldn't say that, but in my experience, that's it. If you're going to be aggressive, you just need to keep hitting it. What you don't want to do is like think I'll be a little aggressive here, and then you get stopped by a tick and it goes back down. And you're like, man, I missed it, and then you miss this. You shouldn't have taken this trade if you weren't going to try it again. I'll be honest. If anything, you should wait for the second one and be like, well, I'm not going to take this because I'm not confident enough to take it twice. But if they trap this and then they drop it again with an aggressive trader, I will take the scalp. And then when they just go zoop, it's like, oh, I guess I missed it. And when they just go whoop and drop it, I guess you missed it, right? But at least you didn't take the stop. Whereas this one, the second one that closes bearish like that after touching just above it, this one is way more likely to produce that big move. Whereas the first one, sometimes it does do it, but sometimes it doesn't. Okay, still no green or red outlines. So we've run into we had one here, right? And then those did they get a VPOC below that on a bar that's not purple? They didn't. So these guys are technically still trapped. Those sellers are still trapped. If they can get above a yellow dot, which they did, now if I can get green bar, if I can get green bar followed by triangle up here, I can take it. And again, you can do this exact same process with the volume profile because it's not a complex setup. And you can say, okay, see, this is where the VPOC usually is, way up here. Right, so I need to get above that and establish up here, like on that green line. I need to establish buyers up there. Otherwise, it's probably dead. See that? So that's it's a nice little trick. Okay. Okay. Here we go. Green. No triangle up. Right. And plus I'm not above a yellow dot anymore. So nothing to do. Green. Triangle up. Okay. When they will look like this, green, nothing, green, up, it's probably coming here. You can if you've got good enough risk reward, that as long as you can target this, it's not that bad. See that? Kind of cool. It's got to be exactly like this, though. Green, bearish, green. And I prefer that the second one got underneath the first one by at least a tick. Because that means they trapped someone down there. Oops, I don't know if this one did. It didn't. They trapped someone down there. They came down. They trapped more, and they still closed bullish. So this is ideal for a scalp. It does not mean that the low is in. Unfortunately, they can easily come back here and take it back once they trap some buyers because the bigger time frame is bearish. So that's an important understanding, and it's something I've messed up before. But if we can get above a yellow dot with a VPOC, then I can start taking them right away. Okay, there we go. Got above it. So now the next green outline candle followed by a triangle up like this, if they come consecutively, I can just buy it. As long as it's at support. It's got to pull back. It might not. Yeah, so instead they keep going. They put a green bar way up here, and then they put a red bar in. Guess what? This is probably resistance, and they're probably going to get triangle down, and it's probably going to go lower. Yep. Oh, no triangle. Probably not taking it. So see how there's no triangle here? They're going to chop this. Yep. Chop, 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 chop. And now they're going to let it go. I only know that because of the box. We talked about that already earlier. In fact, I think we talked about that exact setup here. That was a decent sell. Okay, red, triangle down. Is it bearish? Yes. You can probably just short. The problem is you're shorting right into the low, but have you broken below blue? You have. Right, so you got to put your stop here. But it might work. Oh, that's brutal. Right? You have to take it again. It's like, sorry, you might get two stops. Wow. That's mean. That is mean. Now let's see. Now see, I would not be able to take the long yet because they have not gotten above it, and my target's technically here. I don't know what they do here. Do they fuck it up? Look at that. Yeah, I guess. Let me think. Is there a reason not to put your stop there? Because the direction is correct. It's just very, very, very choppy. So, is there a reason not to put your stop up here? A purple bar got fully retraced. Technically, this is resistance, where the purple bar is not retraced. That's really far away. So if you look at the big picture, there's that. And then I bet that VPOC is still raised up. Let me check. So if we start where it bounces and we bring it to where we are. Yeah. So see how high the VPOC is? That's the problem. All the volume's up here. There's just no one defending this area. There's no sellers like really participating. So this is just going to be, they're just trying to trap sellers. It's not going to work, but they're going to try to trap them. So what you really want, again, I can make this visible, is you want, if you're selling, you want to be participating at a high volume edge, right? You want to be executing beyond the high volume edge. So if the high volume, there, so here is the point of control, right? My cells, we need to hold that. It needs to defend it anyway. It doesn't have to, like, not a brick wall, but it needs to defend that. We need to get sellers underneath that before I know I'm bearish. So like here, I know I'm bearish. But see this big volume spike? And then it goes into like low volume, low volume, low volume, and then big volume spike. That right here is going to cause problems. That high volume edge is going to cause problems because it goes, that low volume node basically comes all the way up till this taper right here. So this whole area can get easily auctioned through, and it does. See that? It's just like test. Now they don't make it all the way here, right? So as long as you put your stop above the high volume edge, it's okay. The problem is, to do that, you really can't execute here. I mean, you could, but not with futures. That's too big, in my opinion. Because you're getting short at 65, and I'm saying my stop has to be at like 12,700. There's no way I'm taking that much risk per contract. So I'd either have to do with puts, which isn't horrible, or you just identify that needs to be your stop, and you know that you're triggered here, but you don't get short there. You identify the low volume node, and you take the trade here, like I explained in my low volume node video. I think it was last week. So, and then understand that it's not just going to drop; it's going to re-auction. See this? It's going to re-auction that's what you want. You want the re-auctioning of the low volume node to be rejected. That's what you want. That's the end. Yeah. Like it looks like this is it, but they come all the way as far as they can, and they can't get through that high volume edge, and then everyone gives up. And that is literally how the market works most of the time. Okay, have we gotten above a yellow dot? No. My green bar triangle up trade is not expected to work. Not for anything more than this. Sometimes it will. I'm not going to be aggressive enough to take it. Now we've gotten above the yellow dot. So now if we pull back and give green bar triangle up again, I can do it. We beat a red bar. That's a good sign. Probably means I'm not going to get set up. Probably means it's just going to rip. Yeah. Because again, if it's bearish, these red bars are followed by triangle down. And instead, we trapped a buyer, and then they just ripped right through it. So most likely, all the volume is down here. We can look. And again, I'll make this visible. Sorry. On my screen, I can see it, but I know if you're watching this on like a phone, you can't see that. So the high volume edge is here. See that? It's like low volume node, no low volume node here. There's like a little edge here, and then a relatively large one here, right? Kind of taper. See how low it goes here? So beyond that are some spikes, and then the VPOC, and then there's low volume nodes underneath it. So that's good, right? This big old spot right down here. Those are that's what a squeeze usually looks like, where you have volume above it, right? These are the trapped sellers. Low volume node that did not get retraced, VPOC, low volume node, right? So this edge basically needs to hold. Otherwise, your next edge is underneath your VPOC, and now it's gonna get stuck there, right? So watch. I don't even know if it pulls back. Honestly, when it does this, when it traps them, low volume node, and then they can't retrace this, it's usually just gonna squeeze. Or it's not bullish. Yeah, see that? So I mean, if you're watching on the footprint, and you know how to read it. You would know like, oh yeah, this isn't gonna come back. And again, if once you see that, and you recognize it, you can technically get long, right? So one way to think about it is, even though I don't really want to risk buying every single green bar followed by triangle up, because I know that doesn't work often enough unless I've gotten over a yellow dot. What I could do is, once I see it break through a yellow dot and I see that there's a low volume node here above the green VPOC. So the green VPOC is here. So the trap sellers are down here, right? That's what this bar means. There's trap sellers underneath that, right? So they got stuck and then they shot out of there as buyers. And so if they can't, I don't know that they're not going to retrace this until they don't do it, right? But if I want to wait for the next blue dot, that volume anomaly to show up, and it shows up above the high volume edge, it's aggressive, but it's probably okay. Now, interestingly, that one is exactly lined up with the other yellow dot. See that? And I don't know how often that happens, but that's kind of cool. And then it goes. Right? And that's the very first blue dot. This is your second one. So technically, this one's usually still okay. This one's a little risky. It still works. The fourth one works. The fifth one works. Yeah, this is what a squeeze looks like. Sixth one works. Oh, we're at the end of the day. No wonder. Okay, so red. See how red can't get a triangle down? It's not bearish, if it wasn't perfectly clear. In fact, you got to get under a blue dot, which you're clearly not. So as soon as I see this, I'm thinking, I want to buy it, right? I just want an aggressive opportunity. There. Green. Oh, it's got a triangle up. That's too bad. So the triangle up's not going to come here. So now I want to see this hold, but I can't really buy it. It's also pretty extended. Yeah, no pullback. That's too bad. Okay, red, triangle down. Are we below a blue dot? Close. Didn't quite get VPOC below the blue dot. It's probably going down, but I'm too conservative to take it short, but it's probably going down. Oh, that's currently. So the idea here is we've been squeezing, right? We've got probably tons of low volume nodes to re-auction here. It doesn't have to happen right away, but eventually, like this, and maybe this, although this one's below the VPOC now. The VPOC's actually lifted up, so this one's probably out of bounds. But this one is likely to get retraced. So if you want to be aggressive, and again, I don't recommend it, but if you want to do it, your target is here, right? On a short, thinking that I'm going to try to mean revert here. It's just really risky. But if you got underneath this blue dot on a bar that's not purple, which it didn't, if you look, it almost did, but it didn't quite do it. So for me, see how the line is above the dot? Oh, I didn't even put it in the right spot. Oh, I see. That's the current price. So you could not get VPOC below the blue dot low. And then when they did get VPOC below the blue dot low, it was just purple. So like just illiquidity. And then as soon as they had that one bar of illiquidity, sellers tried to take it lower and buyers were like, just kidding, we're buying it. And they look at volume. It shifted straight up, right above that line, right? So it looks to me like they're at least trying to hold that low volume node. So I personally don't want to be shorting here. I don't really want to be buying either personally, but if you look at the yellow, which we know means it's gotten a little overextended, and usually all the yellow bars are retraced, with few exceptions, such as when they're stuck underneath the low volume node. This one's not; it's right in the low volume node. This should get retraced. It does. We found a buyer, and honestly, it might be ready to go higher. So I'm definitely not buying until that gets retraced. It got retraced here. This is your very first opportunity to buy. It's pretty risky, but you'd have to know what the locations look like. Yeah, you banged right into this previous day's volume point of control. It's probably done. Let's be honest. For a while. It's probably going to wiggle around for a while in here. But it could lift. It can keep going, believe me. It can keep going. But I'm not going to be aggressive here. The way I would think about this, if you look where the green bar is here, like I would have loved to execute there, but it didn't really set up the way I wanted it to. But now that I see the low volume node above it, right, and if you look at where the sellers are underneath the VPOC, it is here, right? So these guys need to stay. Those traders need to stay trapped for me to be bullish. So as long as when we test down here eventually, they find a buyer, I can keep looking for longs. If instead they do this and this, I don't want to look for longs because whoever was trapped down here is not trapped anymore. So that's the way to think about it. Like I said, how to use it exactly, for now, I'm just going through the process of have we crossed the dot and then waiting for the setup to occur after that. But you can see that like in situations like this, you're gonna miss every one of these, right? And they don't always give you the opportunity to get long again. But back here, this one worked rather. Not that one. Where was the one that did work? There was one that did work, I thought. I don't remember. But at least on this time frame, it's not necessarily going to set up a ton. So let me just quick show you how we can change the time frame. And all of a sudden, the setup is going to show up a ton more. So I'll make this a 15 tick. I'm going to do this, and then it's getting late. I got to eat something. Oh, missing texts. Hold on. Okay, so on the smaller time frame, let me just go back a little bit. It's not going to matter where we go. It's a smaller time frame. You're going to see it over and over again. So again, same process, right? We're getting over a dot, and then we want to see the setup. So there's the dot. There's our green bar shows up right here. No triangle up anyway. Green bar, triangle up. We have not yet gotten the VPOC above the dot, so I'm not yet able to execute. Along there. Now I've gotten above it on the VPOC, so now if the next bar is a triangle up, I would have preferred it comes on a pullback, but if the next bar is triangle up, I can technically go long. It's not. That's what I kind of hoped, because I don't want to see it way up here. I want to see it at support. But if I get one right here, if this was green dot followed by triangle up, now honestly, this probably works. But it's not the setup we're looking for. There, green dot, green line. So now if the next one's triangle up, that's the setup we want, right there. Ta-da! So that's going to work a ton, even on the tiny 15 tick. Let's just go to a random spot and we'll find another one. Let's see if I can find a short. Cheating a little bit, but all right. So get below a blue dot, hold that low or defend it, hold that high, sorry, and then get the red bar, triangle down. Okay, it doesn't hold, nothing to do. Okay, nothing to do. You got a green bar, but it's no triangle up, so thankfully, because it's way too high. You want these at support. They want the green ones at support, and you want the red ones at resistance. So here, red bar, triangle down, but we haven't gotten underneath the blue dot, so there's nothing to do. We haven't gotten underneath the blue dot. Here's the blue dot. Haven't gotten underneath the blue dot, blue dot, blue dot. Okay, got under a blue dot. Now we need red bar. So now we got green bar triangle up. I don't think that works, right? So you could look for the reversal at that level, and that's an okay setup for a short. It might take a couple tries. I'd prefer to get a red bar triangle down. But you can see that these are not producing any extensions, right? And you just didn't get the setup. Okay, see how we can't get above a yellow dot? And so the green bar triangle up does not work. We just did not get a red bar there. Nobody got trapped at the high. Okay, I need to break this, so I'm not taking this if it goes triangle. So I'm not doing that because my target would be here. If it's far enough away, I'll target right there and be done, but that's usually what happens. Dots, dots. Okay, so look, we got dot. If we can get over that, over it. Now pull back and give green, follow by triangle up. Green. It gets another bar. There's no triangle. It's probably not going to work. Yeah. And now I want to see it again, but with green bar, triangle up. Doesn't quite do it. It might be okay if it's just green bar, any bar, especially if it's pink. But I think the right way to do it, if it's not a triangle, is actually to try to execute back at the VPOC. So you put your limit order here and you wait for it to come back and fill you, and then you get a great trade. Okay, if I get under a blue, so I got under a blue with a VPOC, and now I got red bar, triangle down. It's questionable whether or not I broke this high, but that's technically a short. Oh, I think I did break the high, didn't I? I got VPOC above the high. I'm not taking it. Never mind, it's bullish. That's the trade. So I've gotten above yellow. I've gotten above yellow. Right here. Green bar, triangle up. It might be into resistance, but that's usually good. Oh, it's still no, it fails. So I'm guessing that's location. It's a voodoo range level. You really need it to be at support. And again, I could draw the volume profile and find out where that is, but this one apparently was not at support. And this one actually worked. Interesting. So we got a blue dot beat way back here. I would think that this apex needs to hold. But maybe it's this apex, since I'm on such a small time frame, or even this, actually. Oh, that's interesting. I hadn't even thought about that. Let's see, the big picture VPOC. It's going down, so I want to go like this. Yeah, so I really want to be under that. And I'm not. So I don't love it. Okay. Yeah, see, red, no triangle, nothing. And then it just reverses, right? Oh, now here, did I get above a yellow dot? This one might be a long. Yellow dot, above yellow dot, pull back, green bar, triangle up. That should go higher. And I've got room now to resistance. Yeah, that's how it's supposed to work. So you need a bigger pullback than like 2 bars. Like it's not a momentum trade. It's also not a like reverse at the low trade, but it is a reversal. So see, when you can't get over the dots, green bar followed by triangle up just gets you to the dot and then it fails. Now, if it sets up over and over again, they're going to stop selling. So this probably works. Yeah, and I just don't know a good way to know how many, because look, this one, they did green bar, green bar, right? I know when it goes green bar, bearish bar, green bar, and this low, you can't get a VPOC below it. I know it's usually bullish. So perhaps once I see that, I just need triangle up and I can get long right here. But then my stop has to go underneath the low. And, that's aggressive. But for a scalp, it's probably okay. See, that's not where you want to execute a short. And when they get stuck like this, you can get real big squeezes. Like if this guy gets stuck, look, blue. You know what? I just realized this one that gets stuck had a dot. And it's not at an apex, right? You got a dot, it's red or green, and it's not at an apex. Hold on, I didn't think about this. If they're showing up not at an apex, and they have the volume anomaly dot, and you break over it, and then a pullback holds it, it's probably a good long. You probably just need to wait for the triangle up. So here, dot, red, no apex, right? The apex already showed up over here. For the same reason as the box, and they'll often have a box because it's the same exact concept. Triangle down should take you lower because you're going to break that dot on the very next bar. So you could wait for the next bar to be sure, but technically, most of the time that triangle up is going to continue. I like that because you've already. So the idea here is you've already cleared the order book. So here, if you think about, this is resistance, right? It's where all the sellers are sitting. You've already cleared the order book right here, right? And so if you can then get like this, cleared the order book. So now if you can get this, that's why this works, right? Well, on a tiny little time frame, and then yeah, that makes it explosive. On a tiny little time frame, this cleared the order book, right? That dip, and then they came up. And so when you come back through it, even though you didn't close this yet, since you've already cleared the order book, it might be just as good as breaking a blue dot because this isn't an apex. So you couldn't even get as high as the apex. It just reversed. So it's like proof that you cleared the order book. Huh. Okay, here's a typical one with a dot that's not on a yellow or green bar. Dot. You got above it with a pink bar. Got above it with a pink bar. Yeah, so I don't think I can take this, even though it probably works. The pink bar gets in the way. Oh, yeah, see? So then it fails. Because it's only a pink bar getting over it. So the only reason they got over this dot was because of illiquidity. It was sellers pulling their orders that got it up there, and then they finally got it up here. That's a tiny little bar. That doesn't really count anyway, but right before the open. And then sellers immediately rejected it. And so everybody gives up. And see how now this green bar triangle up only gets you to resistance, right? But in the meantime, you were able to break a yellow dot, meaning if it sets up again with a green bar down here, it can bounce, and it just doesn't set up. And there's no triangle up, and it's already beat it, so you don't want to do that. You have to do the whole thing again. There we go. This is our same trade from before, the small purple, so they all relate. The small purple with a dot gets broken, green bar, triangle up, that's probably good. Oh, it's not. Oh, it's not a pink triangle, right. So in this case, we've just broken above the dot here, and so now I need green bar, triangle up. Yeah, I've made that mistake before. That's tricky. So it's reversed. So when it's white bar, pink triangle after the purple small bar with a dot, it just squeezes. But when it's pink bar, white bar, you need to wait for the pullback to get bought. And it doesn't. Well, it does way down there. Oh, it still actually works. Does it reclaim this VPOC? It does. So this is cool. I hadn't thought about this. So when it does that little move where it gets it above a dot, and that happened on a green bar, the VPOC of that green bar getting a close above it on a bullish bar, right here, on a bullish bar, is probably going to result in this holding on a pullback. So then I could probably enter here. I don't know how often that works, but it's kind of a rare situation. Okay, let me find one or two more. My throat's starting to get a little sore. Too much talking. Okay, so did we get under a blue dot? No. Oh, right here. I think we talked about this one already. Got under a blue dot. It's right there. And then you have to, yeah, this is a different setup. That's a different setup. It's not quite right. Because you got this, you didn't get under a dot. You needed a dot here earlier. That's too bad. It didn't really set up the way I wanted it to. Green bar just gets crushed. Okay, here we go. Got over the dot. Here with the green bar. That's not good enough. Yeah, that's not what you want. Now it has to pull back and give us green bar, triangle up. Wrong green bar. There, green bar, triangle. That should work. Okay, I think I did this already. That looks familiar. All right, so or maybe it just set up the exact same way on the 24 tick. So that's how this all works. Here's the reverse of the double. So you trap buyers, try to go, trap buyers with the yellow dot, and now it has the potential to break down. I don't know if it does. It doesn't. Well, it does for a tick or two. This is interesting because now it's gotten underneath the blue dot right there. And so now you need a red follow-away triangle down. Red, no triangle down. Red, triangle down. That one might work. Oh, no, you've broken above this. It doesn't count. Man, yeah, that's specific, isn't it? Oh, there. This is really nice. Dot on a small one. Red bar. Triangle down. Whether or not this is a pink or a non-pink now, that will work because now you've already traded below it. Right? Yeah, and you could probably wait for the retrace if you want to be sure. Okay, so that's how this works. I'm going to keep trying these things and sharing them. Like I said, these are primarily for me to keep a tally of what I'm supposed to be doing, so that when I get off process, I can come back to these videos, rewatch them, and then start over again. But if you want to learn more about how to use the algo, you can obviously contact me at Twitter at RedBandTrader, or else just talk to my coach Simon. His email is trade_perform@gmail.com. Ask him for a 5-day free pass to the room. I don't know if it'll happen right away, but eventually we will open up the room to new members again, and he'll be accepting new people. So yeah, thanks for checking it out. Hope you learned something. If you are in the Trade and Perform room, contact me on Slack if you want any of the extra signals. But again, it'll only work if you've already got Simon's algo, because you need his DLL for it to populate. So I will see you guys